let's start that over again, because I apparently can't.
We're professionals!
I'm trying so hard to learn how to fight with my computers over all this. What dissertation? I just need to learn how to stream correctly.
No.
It's the modern version of
Anybody who's
VCR.
complained about having to write code in R has never had to deal with Soundflower or whatever the heck it's called.
Yeah, right?
I understand.
R is way easier than trying to figure out OBS and Soundflower. I'm just going to say that. Oh my goodness. All right, let's try that again now that we should be able to hear everyone. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Nature Check, the show where you come for the game and stay for the science. First, we're doing introductions. Again, my name is Sheryl. I've just started a PhD program in ecology, and I love dung beetles. When I'm not doing research, I make biology, ecology, and environmental science videos over on the Roving Naturalist on YouTube. I'm also the GM for the games here on Nature Check, and I'm going to let the players introduce themselves, starting with Peter all over again.
So my name is Peter Coffey. I am an agriculture extension agent in Maryland. So I work for the University of Maryland, and I teach people about agriculture science. My background is in insect pest management, and so my job, I do all agriculture, but I also kind of focus on insect pests and alternative cropping methods, sustainable agriculture, small farms, a lot of that stuff. And I'm all over the internet. You can find me pretty much everywhere using my name. I'm either Peter Coffey or Peter L. Coffey, depending on whether or not somebody got to the Peter Coffey handle first. And tonight I will be playing Percy Quilton, who is a... I don't want to, he's not the kind of guy who's going to really demand titles. I don't think. Percy is a short man of kind of average build. He has curly red hair that he normally keeps kind of tucked under a wool cap. It kind of still pokes out at the edges. He's got even more freckles than me and pale blue eyes. And that's all you guys need to know for now.
All right. And then we'll do Joe next.
Hi, I'm Joe Ballinger. I'm a weed scientist at the University of Wyoming. I'm trying to figure out why weeds hurt crops, specifically the contribution that weeds, like everything the weeds do to crops, makes to yield loss. I am going to be playing Master Peter Mathers tonight, who is a young man, kind of a pilot kind of dude, kind of a hot shot, so we'll see how this goes.
And can you describe Peter Mathers for us so we can picture him?
6 foot tall, deep brown skin, thick, wiry hair, legs and body are relatively thin in contrast to his really big forearms, because he spends like all sorts of time wrestling with the ship's wheel. Think Popeye, right? And he also likes to have his own kind of flair, because his uniform has a lot of personal adjustments. One earring in his left ear and some ribbons at the cuff of his jacket sleeves.
Awesome. And we've also got 2 special guest players with us tonight, which I'm super excited about. So Emily and Eric are friends of mine and also scientists, so they're joining us for their first appearances on Nature Check. Emily, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yes, of course. I'm Emily Dodd. I graduated with my master's from UIC this past May, where I asked questions about microbes that live on fish. So I'm really into that. But I'm also really into science writing. So now I work for a company where we coordinate health insurance plans for people. So I work on their plan drafting team. So I really love science and medical and technical writing. I'll be playing First Lieutenant Carter Dawson-Clark. Carter is 30 years old, follows military uniform regulations to a T. Carter is clean-shaven, has hazel eyes, and a mid-length brown haircut. Carter is 5'8", slim, and moves gracefully around in combat, almost as if he has dance experience. So that was my character.
Awesome. And Eric. We can't hear you.
Oh.
Yeah, I can't hear you, Eric.
Got it out of the way at the beginning, so I didn't have to worry about it later. Happy to be here on my first visit and possibly my last on the show. My name is Eric Early. I'm a PhD student at Northwestern in biomedical engineering. I study robotic prosthetic arms and how to provide sensory feedback for them, so a sense of how your arm is moving without you needing to look at it all the time. The character that I will be playing here is Radiant Marshall Brown, who is 52 years old, 5'10", used to be stronger in his youth, but age has taken a slight toll on him, but still in fairly good health. He has medium-length hair and beard. Used to be blonde, but you're starting to see strands of silver coming through. His gray eyes are partially obscured by his heavily wrinkled visage. He wears chainmail, which clinks softly whenever he moves, and is covered by a scapular, which was once a bright yellow, but has faded drastically due to exposure to the sun and the seawater. His hands are broad and muscular, and you can see that his fingernails are speckled with flecks of white and yellow candle wax.
All right, so excuse me, that's our cast of characters. We'll get back to them in a moment. I'm going to do the rest of announcements real quick. If you're watching us right now live on Twitch or Periscope, Twitch or Periscope, first of all, thanks for being here watching us. We really hope you'll enjoy what you're going to see this evening, and if you have any questions for the cast, please feel free to put them in the chat. I've got my other computer over here on the side, so I'll do my best to catch any questions that you have for us and pass them along, so we'll do maybe like a mid-game break and discussion. So if you have any questions, feel free to type those in there. You can find Nature Check on Twitter at CheckNature. So follow us there for updates and things that will give you the publication schedule and things like that. Please subscribe to Nature Check here on Twitch and on YouTube. Every subscription or follow or whatever is really helpful to us and growing the project. Every game session, including this one, will be uploaded to the YouTube channel, and you'll also be able to find our after show recaps, which we call our Nature Chats, on the YouTube channel. And you can also access the game and the after game sessions in podcast form on Podbean, Google Play, iTunes or Apple Podcasts or whatever it's called, and Spotify, so you can find us wherever. So please enjoy and tell your friends. You can also follow each of us individually on Twitter. All of the handles for social media things are down in what we're calling the reference section in the pane down below Twitch, so you can find all of our Twitter handles there. I'm super excited to announce that the regular Nature Check game with our normal cast will be playing live in St. Louis on November 16th. That's a Saturday, just like normal. We'll be at Urban Chestnut Brewing Company's Grove Beer Hall location in their party room. The game will start at 6 p.m. Central, and there will be beer discounts available for those who come to watch the game and choose to purchase drinks. We'll also be streaming that game on Twitch and Periscope like normal for those of you who can't join us in person, and we will have another 2 different special guest players that night, so it's going to be a real thing, and y'all should come enjoy the game either in person or online. Does anybody else have any science communication type projects they'd like to plug? Silence.
I have an infrequently updated YouTube channel called Sci Inspiration, SCI-Inspiration. I have 2 videos on there right now. I mostly use it as an opportunity to explore various scientific topics through popular media, movies, television, video games, that sort of thing. The videos I have on there right now look at fantasy technology that allows faster-than-light travel. So if you're a sort of sci-fi nerd and you're interested in light speed, hyperspace, or the real-world technologies thereof, go ahead and check it out.
Nice.
Well, that sounds awesome. That sounds like way more exciting than my YouTube channel. But if you want to see somebody dissect a stillborn lamb, you can go to my YouTube channel and watch a lamb necropsy. And by someone, I mean like an actual vet. And they will explain to you what happened and then walk you through that kind of thing. If you're into diagnosing problems with young sheep or goats,
that is super cool.
Yeah,
that actually does sound pretty cool.
All right, well, head on over to the Carroll County Extension YouTube channel. What was yours, Eric? What was the name of your channel?
My channel is called Sci Inspiration. You can find it on my Twitter or on my website. There'll be links to it there.
Nice. So
cool. I'm gonna check that out.
Sci Inspiration, and what was it? The Carroll County Extension? Is that right?
Yeah, and also if you want to watch some videos that I made about basic horse handling, like how to put on a halter or how to groom a horse, those are up on the UMD Equine YouTube channel.
So handle animal checks.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, animal checks. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And Peter posts lots of cool macro photos of bugs on his Instagram. So
I do.
That's awesome.
If you're not Nancy, you should go follow Peter on Instagram.
Yeah. I just put up a picture of a spider mite that I took, which was really, really fun and really, really challenging. Spider mites are definitely at the very far end of what my skill and photography equipment will take me to. So that was a fun picture. If you want to see something, an arthropod that's about the size of a grain of sugar, you should go check out my Instagram.
My favorite thing about that whole photo session was what you were putting on Twitter about leaning over your desk, which was covered in sugar, and what that must have looked like to outside observers.
Oh no.
So it's even better than that. Like I had a piece of glass that I was using to photograph on, because at that scale, like the fibers in a piece of paper are really distracting. So glass is really the best background at that scale, made for like a kind of portrait photograph. And then I was like, what am I going to put on there for scale? Like even like a penny is going to dwarf this thing. So I had a packet of sugar on my desk, and I was like, oh, I'll just sprinkle this on there. And then it was like, oh, this is really sketchy looking. Good thing it's 9 o'clock and everybody else has gone home.
Sugar went everywhere. Let me use this razor blade to put it all in the line so it's all organized.
Mm-hmm.
These are the things.
Well, I mean, it was a scalpel, but yeah.
A science razor blade.
A science razor blade.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just a $100 bill rolled up lying on his desk.
Yeah.
$100
that was left over because somebody wanted to pay for cash for a pesticide manual, and I had to make change. So
it was a whole
there's
thing.
a perfectly legitimate reason for all of this.
Do you regularly make change in hundreds?
I hope so.
No.
See, this is why we're
our
doing this.
pesticide manuals are not that expensive.
Because scientists are interesting and weird, and you should learn more about weird, interesting scientists. Anyway. All right, so we've plugged the things, so now we're ready to go and get this thing started. Today's game is a little different than normal, as we will not be following the main storyline if you've been with us for our first 4 episodes. So we're not using those core PCs that you're coming to know and love. Instead, we're going to turn back the hands of time, back to a year long before several of the PCs were even born, back to a time of tumult. It is the year 952, and what will become known as the Wars of the Loss are well underway. The human country of Tainibria has taken ample advantage of the chaos wrought by the loss, pillaging other peoples of their resources and making flat-out land grabs when possible. Led by King Harris Tourneur, Tainibria appears to be amassing a global empire. You are all crew aboard a Tainibrian naval vessel. Your ship, the Drake's Crest, was returning home to Tainibria with a large portion of the armada after a successful battle against orcs and other enemies on the continent of Udiven. Udiven, to the viewers, may or may not sound familiar because it is the home continent of one of our core PCs. However, an incredibly violent storm at sea has caused you and the Drake's Crest to become separated from the rest of the fleet. You're in the middle of the ocean with some damage to your ship, predominantly the sails, the rigging, and the masts, and you need to figure out how to get home to Tainibria, a country on the western half of the continent of Perim. Your captain, Walter S. Rivers, who you normally would expect to be sort of the lead decision maker on your vessel, was very seriously injured in the course of the storm and trying to keep things together. So he is convalescing in his cabin below decks, which leaves Lieutenant Carter Dawson-Clark as the second in command, now in charge of the boat.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Just so you all know, since I didn't tell you this before, it's not just the four of you. There are NPC sailors running this ship, so you can give orders and ask for help.
All right.
So we don't have to actually know how to sail a ship? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, you might have to work on it, but there are also sailors, because sailing is only the job for some of you. For some of you, you are there to do jobs other than sailing.
Hard tack, pull the jib. Brother.
Secure the sail, and that's about all I know how to do.
The sail's gone, we've lost her.
So currently, you are pretty much dead in the water.
Okay.
Lieutenant Dawson-Clark, this ship has 3 sails, so a large sail, a medium-sized sail, and a small sail. They provide propulsion for the ship commensurate with their size, obviously. But they are pretty much all non-functional right now, and the ship does not have oars. So if you would like to move and not be in the middle of the ocean anymore, somehow those things will need to be repaired.
All right.
Do we have, like, additional materials? Like, do we have, like, extra sails somewhere?
There's not, like, just extra sails lying around because they're very large, but there are materials for patching and repairs and things like that, yes. Since this is a naval vessel, it has all sorts of equipment and things.
How large of a break can I fix with mending?
Not big enough. Good
Didn't
question,
think so.
though. Yeah. That's for, like, little things.
Yeah.
All right. So Peter's standing at the wheel of the ship. There's several sailors surrounding him, just kind of wondering what to do, and he's just sort of thrown the wheel out in disgust and turns around to the sailors and says, "All right, look, guys, we're dead in the water. We're screwed. So go find something to fix this shit because I've done what I can."
Do you have diplomacy as a skill?
After that speech, probably not.
Is that diplomacy or intimidation? I can't tell.
Well,
There is no diplomacy skill buff that I can see.
okay.
No, wait, D20 plus 5.
There you go. He's a charismatic guy.
And rolling the die, that got a 2.
A 2 plus 5.
2 plus 5,
Okay,
so
a 7. So they all just sort of look at you, and then they just sort of like turn around and laugh a little bit. Psh, Mathers, you're not in charge.
I might not be in charge, but can you guys think of anything else to do? Because we're dead in the water. And if you guys want to, live to see your families, we got to get back on land somehow. And that's going to pretty much require you guys fixing this shit. So, I mean, you can be pissed off about what I'm saying here, but not your enemy because I'm telling you the truth.
Lieutenant Dawson-Clark, how do you feel about what's going on decks?
I think the first thing that we need to do is find some materials to repair our sails so that we can get going somewhere. So I can use I have a search skill that's D20 plus 4, so we can find where these might be. And I also have a skill of geography knowledge. So while I kind of delegate the responsibilities of finding those materials, I use my geography skill to figure out where we might be.
Awesome. Speaking of delegation, just so you know, you have 6 sailors who are sort of your more experienced or expert type sailors. I'm going to rattle the names off, but if you want them again, I can list them again. So Jenkins, Clancy, Turner, Howard, Tibbs, and Bowden are the sailors that you know have been doing this for a while. There's also a whole bunch of sort of younger, less experienced sailors on board, but if you want to delegate tasks to any of those 6 fellows, they might be good places to start.
Okay. So for the junior sailors, I'll delegate the task of finding the materials, or like fetching the materials and gathering them. For the more experienced sailors, and I use my D20 or plus 4 search skill to locate those. in case their locations on the ship might have shifted during the storm, because you never know what can happen.
Awesome. Yeah, roll me a search check then.
Right.
Oh,
yes.
Sorry. Can I roll a survival check to see if I can see land?
That would be a perception check if you're looking for land. Are you standing on the deck or are you going up into the crow's nest?
I was in the cabin, but I can head up to the crow's nest.
Okay. Just so you know, there is somebody up there doing like their turn at watch. But you can certainly replace them if you'd like.
Okay, I'll just stay on the deck and take a look for myself. So he just sort of like walks outside of the navigation room. And
let's do Emily's. You were doing search first, right?
Oh,
and then
sorry.
Yes.
I thought you'd already done that.
No, that's all right.
So I rolled an 11, so plus 4 would be 15.
Cool. Yeah. So you definitely with all of those junior sailors sort of running around the decks, they eventually find extra canvas, needle and thread, extra rope, all the things you would need to repair the rigging, patch the sails, all of that good stuff. So now you've got all the things, but it's still going to require a bit of work. We'll cut to Mathers for a moment. You're doing a perception check to look for land?
Yeah, I'll just reroll. Nope, I got a 4.
Okay. Lots of ocean.
4 plus 6, so 10.
Okay, yeah, lots of ocean. You don't see anything right now. Yeah, Lieutenant Dawson-Clark, so you've got materials and you've got a whole bunch of people at your disposal. Like I said, you're basically in charge of orders on the ship right now because the captain is indisposed. So you can delegate as you see fit for repairs.
Okay, so I will delegate the tasks of assembling the sails and everything to the more experienced sailors.
Okay.
I'm actually not 100% sure what all that entails because I don't know much about assembling sails.
Neither do I.
But I do I do have a skill of knowing how to use rope. So
Okay.
there is that.
Awesome.
And I can use that to help because in a leadership position, I prefer to be actually in with the people that I'm working with instead of just being separated from them. So I can use my rope skill to help the sailors as they are pulling up the sails and doing whatever they need to do. Is there anything else that we need to do for fixing?
Awesome. Yeah, I love the hands-on approach to management. I'm a big fan of that. And yeah, you are certainly able to use your rope skill if you'd like. However, I will let you know that, like I said, there is extensive damage to the masts and the sails and the rigging. So this is going to be probably to get all 3 masts, rigging, and sails up and running, a multi-day process. And so it's up to you to decide whether or not you'd like to help or if you'd like to sort of inspire the men in any sort of way. So I believe you have both a diplomacy skill and also an intimidation skill. So if you'd like, you could use one of those and give some sort of rousing speech or threat to the sailors to try to make it a little easier for them to accomplish those tasks faster.
Okay. I will use my diplomacy skill.
Okay.
I don't know if I can recite a speech that I would give them, but essentially the gist would be, we will not go down with this shit. The ship, my apologies, this is a family stream. Much like that, the song from the 90s, I can't remember the artist, but it was a woman songwriter, but I don't remember the artist. But essentially, we're not going to go down with this ship, and we've gone through worse times in our time spent in the Tainibrian Navy, and we've weathered these storms before, and it's nothing that we are not able to handle this time around. Even though we have extensive damage, is damage that can be repaired if we put in the work, and many hands make small work. I think that's how the phrase is. But that would be the points I would bring home.
Marvelous. I love it. Give me a diplomacy check then. We'll see how rousing a speech that was.
So, let me just clear out this thing. So, it got a 4 plus 2, it is a 6.
Cool.
Ooh.
So many bad rolls.
We're gonna die.
Get them out of the way now. Before there are monsters. Yeah, so it's, again, they're all a little rattled from the storm, and they're looking up at the damage, just kind of like, there's a lot to do, Lieutenant. We're gonna do our best, but there's a lot to do. So they're gonna go off and start working. Would anybody else like to do anything in the meantime?
Could you tell me if we...
I would.
Ooh. Oh, no.
Sorry, Doctor, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, please.
No, I insist. No,
Two Canadians on a ship can't figure out which one goes first. Did we, after the storm...
Sir, you're my commanding officer. You should go ahead.
Well, thank you kindly. Did we lose any supplies or food from the storm, or do we still have enough food to last for a couple days?
Would you like to do sort of, like, you want to inspect the ship? Is that what you're asking for?
I want to inspect the ship and make sure that we just have enough provisions. And if not, the Shining One wants us to provide for ourselves and not wait for our own salvation, so...
All right. In that case,
I'm going to go ahead and search the ship and keep it. I mean, if there's a quartermaster, maybe they would do it, but
there isn't an established quartermaster. This is a smaller ship. Yeah.
Quartermaster. I guess it's me now.
All right, Radiant. In that case, give me a search check to check for supplies. And then we'll get to you, Doctor.
6.
I mean, a lot of the boxes down below decks have shifted around, so, like, if you want to take the time to really search thoroughly, you're going to be down there for a while.
But it doesn't look like any boxes got washed overboard.
Not that you are aware of, but yeah, if you wanted to, like, be absolutely 100% certain, it would take probably a bit of time.
Well, I'm fine with that, and praise be to the Shining One that he made sure that we still have all the supplies we need. So, I'm going to head up onto the top of the ship, the deck of the ship, and kind of see what else. We already have some people working on the sails.
Yes, as you come up, you see there's sailors all over the place on the masts. Lieutenant Dawson-Clark, did you have which one of the sails would you like the sailors to prioritize fixing? Large, medium, or small?
I think we can go ahead and fix, I think the medium sail will be good because it'll be enough to get enough wind in the sails to get us moving, but fixing the larger sail will take a long time. So we can go ahead and fix the medium first so we can go ahead and get moving, and then fix the large and the small sails after we have the medium sail.
Solid.
Did you say the masts were broken too?
They're not like trees like fell over, but like there's splintering in the masts, or like the cross beams that hold the sails might be a little damaged. But the sailors are they're swarming all over that middle-sized sails mast now to try to start working on that.
Well, are there any perhaps we've been on sea for a while, so some of the supply crates and such down below are probably empty. Could I grab some barrels and use the cooping to sort of bolster up the mast?
Yeah, if you'd like to do that. You do not have any skills in profession sailor, do you?
No, but I have the skills to pick up a barrel and bring it up and tell somebody who does have the skill, put this on there.
Perfect. So you're basically providing materials to help them with their job. Awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. That'll definitely, both of the things you guys are doing will definitely make it easier for them to fix it. Doctor, you said you had something you wanted to do?
I would like to speak with the lieutenant briefly, if that's all right. So, Lieutenant, I don't mean to imply that anything that you're doing is anything other than what you should be doing. I think you're doing an excellent job assuming command. I would like to update you on the captain of the status of our captain. Captain Rivers is grave. I'm worried. I'm concerned, and so I just would like to emphasize that it's imperative for us to be underway as soon as possible. I feel like I'm not properly equipped to deal with his injuries here.
I see.
Sheryl, would I have checked on the captain?
I assume that you're sort of double teaming, since you have sort of complementary skill sets between the two of you. Yeah.
Then can we do a posteriori medicine or heal check to get an idea of what the symptoms are?
Absolutely. I'll let you both do that if you'd like.
Okay. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah.
16
What's mine?
on a heal check.
That would be a 22.
22. Wow. So Radiant, you definitely saw the captain. He was hit by flying debris during the storm while he was out on deck trying to manage the chaos. Doctor, you know that he was hit by flying debris and it has caused some sort of internal bleeding that is rather extensive and deleterious to his well-being. So he's currently unconscious, and he's not like in any immediate peril, but he's also not great. Like, he's probably not getting up anytime soon.
So Peter right now is trying to figure out exactly where we are.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of check do I need to make for that?
That would be survival or knowledge geography. And you'll get different things based on that. And just so you know, you do have a map of the world, right? So this is a, ye olde map, here there be sea monsters on the edges, that kind of thing. But
Nice,
you do,
stuck in it.
Yeah, but you do have a map. You have the best maps that the Tainibrian Navy has, the ability to acquire. It's just that you were blown very much off course, and so basically now you're using either knowledge geography or survival to sort of figure out where you are on that map.
All right,
We have to sail around the sea monster on the map.
I'm going to use the survival check.
Okay.
Oh, I got an 8.
An 8 total.
So 8 plus 7.
So 15.
15.
Okay. Let me see. Where's the survival thing here?
How did we survive this long?
Well, I mean, the storm,
did we run away from battle? Is that what actually happened?
Well,
and it was a storm.
We used up all of our luck surviving the storm.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, with a 15, you can tell that you are on the sea, somewhere in between the continents of Udaven and Arda, which makes sense because you were sailing east away from Udaven when the storm hit. Where you are in relation to those two continents and in the sort of like north-south perspective, you're still having a little bit of trouble with, but you know that you are still in the part of the ocean where you would expect to be. Nothing, absolutely crazy happened. You are in between those two continents. So I guess that does actually give you a little bit of a north-south perspective. So you are on the northern hemisphere of the planet still.
Okay. All right. So I set off to find the acting captain.
Okie dokie. Are you having a conversation with him?
Oh, I was just setting off to find him. I wasn't sure if there'd be like a cutscene, but anyways, so
I imagine that he is spending a lot of time. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Emily, but I imagine that you are spending a lot of time sort of on the deck supervising all of the things that are happening to repair. Is that correct?
You may be muted.
I was going to say, did
Yes.
we lose you? Okay, cool.
Who can't balance on the cat?
All right, yeah.
That
so
is correct.
So
Apologies, my feed froze a little bit.
No worries. So yeah.
Can y'all hear me all right?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Master Mathers, it's very easy for you. You just walk across the deck, and there's Lieutenant Dawson-Clark. Man, I shouldn't have made that name so difficult to say. So he's standing there in the midst of all of the work that's being done.
All right. So Peter goes up to the lieutenant. Hey, so I got an update for you. Obviously, we're dead in the water, which he looks up the mast. probably pretty obvious. We're somewhere between Univin and Arda. Not sure exactly where. It's hard to say. Not really any great navigation signs right now. We're probably going to have to wait for nightfall.
Goes up to the lieutenant.
Okay. All right. And is there a way to find an update on the progress of the repairs on the ship? So I do have a perception skill.
Mm-hmm. You don't even need to use the perception, though. You can see that they're definitely progressing, and I'm sort of being very liberal with the time that it's taking to have these conversations and do these tasks. But you can see that the work is definitely progressing, and it looks like... Woo! You would anticipate that by the end of today, the medium-sized sail might be mostly functional.
Okay. I do have a craft skill, and it looks like my character is very experienced in the craft, so I can use that to kind of get a more hands-on on repairing the mast for the sail.
Yeah, you can definitely use that again, similar to the other things you were doing to sort of like help the crew along.
Sail, because it does look pretty damaged.
Sorry, you're cutting out. I don't think I heard the whole thing.
So Peter's still standing there and, seeing the lieutenant work and just sort of shouts out, so, sailing, navigation, I tried to figure out where we are, and obviously we're dead in the water. We're not going anywhere. Has anybody checked the stockroom, see if we have supplies or anything like that?
If you guys are on the deck, I might have heard this conversation.
I would say so. Yeah. I imagine as the sort of like senior staff on the ship that you're all staying fairly close. Yeah.
I took a quick walk around to see if it seemed like anything got dumped overboard, and I don't see anything like that. So I assume whatever we had down there is still there. Is there something specific you're looking for?
No, I was just wondering about the condition of the supplies. So even if they're knocked around, if our food is soaked in salt water, it might be as good as useless.
Well, you might want to talk to the chefs then and see if they can prepare that food first to make sure that it stays good. I wouldn't trust me around a steak if my life depended on it, so... Just kidding, we don't have steak on this ship.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Peter pats him on the shoulder and he's like, yeah, that's a fair point. So, and then he goes down to the stockroom to check for himself.
Okay, you can roll a search check.
All right,
Yay,
so I got a 17.
All right, yeah, so you can definitely...
17 plus 4.
Oh, nice. 21.
Yeah.
That's even better. Yeah, so you can definitely see, as the Radiant described, that everything's sort of jostled around down there, which is perfectly reasonable to you because it was a heck of a storm. But none of the boxes or the hull, more importantly, seem to be breached in any way. So it doesn't really seem like anything has been soaked. Things are definitely jostled around. You might have more, of course you're not carrying eggs, but more scrambled eggs kind of dealio than, intact food bits or other items. But nothing seems to be waterlogged in any way. Yeah.
Okay, so it's all still usable?
Yeah, if you wanted to start, busting open crates, you could get, an even better idea, but it's sort of looking at the room and... Christmas morning style shaking things, it doesn't sound like anything too disastrous happened.
Yeah.
All the bulbs of garlic have been opened. You didn't have to do it at all.
No, I'm sure there's more important things to do. So Peter goes back up to the lieutenant and, reports that thankfully no structural damage is apparent and all our supplies appear to be in usable condition, if not perfect.
That is great news. I can use... Let's see. Are there any supplies that needs to be moved from the underparts of the ship to the top of the ship to help with the repairs or with getting everything in working order.
I think between yourself and the sailors that you sort of delegated at the beginning of this, and Radiant Brown sort of improvising some materials, it looks like there's a pretty steady stream of raw materials needed for the repairs. So the sailors have that pretty well in hand for the moment. If you guys get to a point on this particular day where you're sort of done with your role playing, we can definitely sort of do the fast forward-y bit. But
yeah, no, I think that mostly what's Eric's character's name again? I'm so sorry.
Radiant Brown.
Okay, I think what Peter and Radiant were.
No, first name's Marshall.
Oh.
Radiant's my title.
Okay.
I appreciate it. I give off a very
Oh, right.
I
I made that joke.
Scripted.
Yeah. So I think what Peter and Marshall were looking at were mostly the survival supplies. Are we going to die without these sorts of things?
Right.
So.
Right. Percy would like to just, as other people are doing the manual labor of fixing the sails, wander around, he's going to kind of wander through the crew and kind of just check everybody and make sure that nobody else was injured during the storm. Just kind of
great. Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Checking up on everybody,
me,
doing that ship's doctor stuff.
Let's give me...
Did you just hit me with a hammer?
Reflexes. Let's do sort of do 3 heal checks for me in a row, and I'll just sort of, as an average of as you're moving through.
I also have a
30 plus people in here.
I also have a profession of a surgeon skill. I don't know if that's
Are you planning on doing surgery on anyone?
No. But I figure they also have to do like general practitioner.
Okay, yeah.
Stuff.
Well, then I will let you choose. You can either do.
So 3 heal checks.
Yeah, you can either do 3 heal checks or 3 profession checks.
Oh well, then I'm gonna do heal checks.
Okay.
I got more points in that. All right, that is a 16, a 20, and a 24.
Wow. Nice.
That's how you roll, guys. That's how you do it.
Oh my God.
You healed the crap out of those people.
I'm leaving the stream
You
now.
did heal it. She's rage quitting.
Those are
Leaving
probably
the
some
ship.
of the best rolls we've seen in the game so far.
Yeah, a 24. That's good stuff. Yeah, so you did, in fact, heal the crap out of those people. So there's a few bumps, bruises, scrapes, splinters, that kind of stuff.
Boo-boos.
Yeah, boo-boos.
You get to cure minor wounds, and you get to cure minor wounds.
I think, so I think that, like, while the storm was happening last night, you dealt with most of the, like, oh, shoot, like, serious problems. These are sort of the, like, yeah, you don't even need to use a cure minor wounds on them kind of thing, because they're just, like, boo-boos. Yeah. I mean, you certainly could if you felt like it, but they're all pretty minor things.
Let me kiss it, make it feel better.
Exactly. It's kisses and band-aids and ice packs and, maybe pulling out a few splinters, but nothing too serious. And these are all hardened Tainibrian naval sailors, so, like, they can handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is still nice that you're checking up on these people, so,
Yeah. It's my job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna go like lean somewhere unobtrusive,
you're just gonna lean
like this.
I'm also
go.
like. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, Peter's gonna go. Just help the rest of the sailors until he's needed again.
Jesus Christ. Okay, go.
Everybody's so eager. I love it.
You can go ahead.
All right. To a lesser extent, I'll also be just flavor-wise helping out with like medical stuff as I do a little bit of manual labor. But when noon hits, I'm going to step up on the upper balcony and loudly give a noontide sermon.
Oh boy, let's hear it.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
You guys are prepared, right?
Oh my!
You set yourself up for this.
I did. But I'm trying to use this as a to sort of bolster the spirits of the people who are working, and to thank the Shining One above for the clear skies that we have here, the stormy nights blocking the sun, blocking the moon. They was terrible, but here we is, calm seas and blue skies, and thank you to the Lord Palor for his support in our time of need, and for him shining down upon us, giving us the life-giving aura of sunlight as we continue to labor. Please continue to give us your strength as we make our way out of this.
Percy's doing that thing that I think all atheists do, where like everybody's praying and you kind of like don't close your eyes and kind of like look around and see who else is not closing their eyes.
Yes.
Who else is this? So would you like me to do a I can do a chaplain profession check, or I could do a diplomacy check.
Do you have performance?
No.
Okay, yeah, in that case...
I mean, I'm not doing a performance. I'm doing,
Wow.
like, a noon
What is the
sermon.
difference between a sermon and a performance, really?
One uses wisdom and the other uses charisma. But
yeah. Well, it's an oratory. I'll let you do a diplomacy check, that's fine.
Okay, good. That's the one that I have a higher rank in, so... 14 plus 5 is a 19.
Very rousing. So you see that the men go back to work with a renewed vigor, and yes, you can definitely tell that the medium sail and the rigging and the mast for that will all be repaired by the end of today.
Well, bless your hearts. It's good to see so many devout Tainibrian Palor followers on this ship. As I give the doctor a hearty clasp on the shoulder.
Now, of course, like, you know, we may
Yeah,
have...
for the record, he was standing outside of line of sight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but I imagine that Radiant Brown might already sort of know this about you, because while we might have started playing the game today, you all have been working together for a while, so I'm sure that Radiant Brown has noticed before.
Would you like a pamphlet?
Yeah. Percy's definitely never mentioned it. He would never kind of come up in conversation. It's just kind of
It would if I'm around.
yeah. He'd be like, sure, yeah, I'll take a pamphlet. Yeah, and I really don't know that much about Palor, actually.
How old did I make
So he's into sun.
I didn't say how old he was. Okay, yeah,
The
that's fine.
Lord of the Sun.
That's fine. He can be young enough to not have been around while Palor was around. Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, I mean, he's heard of Palor. He's just trying to be nice. He's just like, this is this non-committal, like, oh, that's interesting.
And I mean, of course, Palor's still around. Like, he still answers my prayers. He still comes up every morning. Like he said he would.
Yeah. I mean, you can't argue with the sunrise.
This is what happens when scientists play D&D.
Now you're getting it.
Moving on.
Yes. Lieutenant Dawson, thanks, Marshall, for his kind and encouraging words. And then...
Always a pleasure.
And because Lieutenant Dawson has an attention to detail, I notice some of the things that require the mast to be repaired, and like the last few things that needed to be taken care of before we get the medium sail up and going. So I have a crafting skill that I can use to make those last final adjustments so that we can get the show on the road, or this boat on. Oh, we're already on the water, but get this boat moving.
Yeah, you are already on the water. That is very true. Yeah, go for it.
All right.
That might actually be kind of the problem, the fact that we're in the water.
Yeah. We just need to be moving just like a little bit. So we're going to get the wind in these sails.
We're on top of the water, which is actually a better scenario than being in the water. So
that is true. That is true. All right.
Wise words, Radiant.
Always coming with these wise sayings.
Lord Paylor loves his positions.
Is his whole crew becoming Southern? I'm just. This is a. I feel like y'all doing a Southern accent is bringing out my Southern accent, and it's like.
Nobody
Our
decided
colonial
to take the,
English,
I was going to say
Southern.
The Tainibrians originally had a British accent, but apparently that's not happening today. So it's
Well,
fine.
I mean, the high-ranking Tainibrians might have, but I mean, my family came from the country.
Right, more of a rural area.
From a rural area.
and
Both
actually,
my parents was priests of Paylor, and I was born into it. So.
Nice.
Well, and as any North American Southerner will tell you, my accent actually sounds more like the traditional, way that the early High Tainibrians would have spoken. It's their accent is the one that changed, and we're actually more authentic to the way the early Tainibrians would have spoken.
Are we talking about future Tainibrian now? I'm confused.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. Shakespeare would have sounded more like a Southern American accent. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For any listeners or viewers, you should totally Google that because it's super interesting.
It's really interesting. Languages evolve over time. Who knew?
Who'd have thought?
It's not just animals that evolve. Don't at me. Actually, please do, because we'd love to talk to you about that. Anything else that anybody would like to do with this first day? Post-storm?
I can roll for the craft skill if that is
please.
necessary. So I rolled a 10, so plus 5 would be 15.
Cool. Yeah, that's definitely...
So I get some...
Definitely helpful,
something done on that there mask.
Nice, yeah. So again, Lieutenant Dawson-Clark takes that very hands-on approach to management. Even though he's the acting captain, he still makes sure to show the crew that he's not just standing around giving orders, but is in fact helping. And so you help put the last few pieces of materials together to fix things. And yes, by the time Paylor is receding beneath the waves on the horizon, the medium sail is ready to be raised and actually used to propel the ship.
Yep. And Peter's been waiting for nightfall so that he can check the stars.
I kind of figured as much.
Yeah. So should I roll a navigation or a survival check?
Yeah, give me another survival check as the stars come out. Or, well, as the stars become visible.
Could I have navigated by the sun?
You could, but...
So 16 plus 7.
Yeah, so with that, that's a 23? Wowee. Yes, so with that, you are able to get a pretty good bearing on where you think you are on your map. And if you'd like, now that the sail is able to be raised, you can get the ship underway if you and the lieutenant think that that's what you'd like to do.
Where are we exactly?
So without a map of the world, I can't pinpoint it for you, but like I said, you had determined earlier that you were in between the continents of Udivin and Arda, and you can see now that you've got the stars and where the sun's set and things like that, you've got a better idea. So yes, you are along along a latitudinal line that you would not be a bit surprised to know that. So you were blown a little bit off course. You're a little maybe farther north than the fleet was really intending to sail, because you do need to sort of go around the southern tip of Arda, but you can sort of navigate that. So you think that you want to be moving in sort of a southeasterly direction.
Okay. Are we closer to Udivin or Arda? That's all I need to know.
Yeah, you're closer to Arda.
Okay. So Peter goes and finds Lieutenant Dawson-Clark. So, he knocks on the door to the lieutenant's office. I don't know if they have an office or anything like that.
I mean, every all of you higher ranking people have your own quarters. So yes, if the lieutenant is not still on decks, then I'm assuming he'd be in his quarters.
Yeah, I assumed it wasn't a cubicle situation.
Ship cubicles.
Open floor plan.
Yeah.
You guys have cubicles.
Juice bar.
I'm very envious.
Cold brew nitro coffee.
Right. So, hearing no answer, he just sort of opens the door and it's like, "Hey, Lieutenant, I think we know where we're at."
Lieutenant, how do you react to having your door just sort of unceremoniously opened?
Lieutenant, are you decent?
You're just like,
Lieutenant's definitely taken aback, but Dawson-Clark is soft-spoken, but just kind of brushes it off because Carter understands that these are some circumstances where people, might not think to knock before entering, but that's cool. That's fine.
This is what Peter is like, by the way. He does sort of...
Much like the gif of the man where it's like, if y'all remember on the stream where he's like doing a farming simulator, y'all know, and someone made a joke about hoes, and that's where the gif came from, by the way.
Yeah, he just has no
but that's
skill.
pretty much Lieutenant Dawson's expression. But Carter is pleased to know that we have a better idea of where we're going now that the stars are out, and we know our the direction that we need to go. Let's see. So
we can either limp to Arda, dock, and figure out see if we can get a better hand on the situation, or we can continue southeast to Udavin. I prefer Udavin, see if we happen to meet up with the rest of our fleet, but...
just to clarify, sorry. So Udavin is west of you, that's where you came from, and the whole fleet was moving east to go back towards Perim, so you would sort of... your plan originally was to go sort of straight east, so you would pass south of Arda and then make it back to Perim. So you guys got blown a little off course. So if you were to go west, you would be going for a long time back towards Udavin. If you go southeast, you would be passing under the southern tip of Arda and continuing back towards Perim.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
sorry.
I thought that we were like just off the west coast of Udavin. So.
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, you're you're closer to Arda than you are to Udavin. Yeah.
I had a meta misunderstanding.
That's all right.
Okay,
I need to make a real world map for you guys so that you know where you are.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So, anyways.
Claim you know where we are.
So yeah, I'm gonna start that entire conversation over since it was just, yeah.
Sorry.
So.
Stars White.
go back to the Speed Force.
Enough of the Scooby-Doo ending.
Yeah. So Peter pulls out the map and he sort of points a course, and he's like, okay, so if we go southeast this way, we might run into the rest of the fleet. We are going to have to go around the southern tip of Arda. There's no way around that. We could dock there, figure out the situation, but I don't think that would be a good idea to put the ship in the Garden of the Gods.
The Garden of the Gods.
Oh, yes, sorry, for the two of you who are newer to the game. So
Somebody say gods.
Yeah, Arda is colloquially known as the God's Garden because it was, before the loss, the domain of the two sort of gods of nature in the wilderness, Obed-Hai and Alana. So even though y'all have never been there, no outsiders have really ever been there because before the loss, when the gods were still active, there were protective barriers surrounding Arda, preventing any outsiders from going there. Mostly you guys haven't gone there because Tainibria just hasn't prioritized it yet.
Yeah.
I see. What would be like the consequences, or is it really known what happens if an outsider, like, is there any stories or old folk tales?
So basically, before the loss, those magics would have prevented people from entering, or if they did somehow manage to bypass the barriers, they would. I mean, they were never heard from again, sort of dealio.
Oh, yes.
But more recently, the problem really is just that Arda is completely unexplored and unknown. So I think what Master Mathers is maybe getting at is the fact that if you docked your ship there and made landfall, that you have no idea what you might encounter.
Yeah, and it's from the sort of tone of his voice, it's pretty obvious that he's more scared of the place than anything. Like, he's like, heard the stories, which are all probably false, but the only thing that he really knows is that people who dock there just aren't seen again, and he does not want to fuck with that.
I see. And that's a valid concern. Although, it might be useful if we are a little bit short on food or other supplies during that time. Specifically food, if we're able to find any...
Oh, she froze up in the middle of her sentence.
No.
Oh no!
And then the captain died.
Come back, Lieutenant.
The captain just sort of stopped mid-sentence.
All right, now we have to figure out who's in command next. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
Emily.
we can
You
hear
froze.
you
now. No.
Yeah, you froze.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Emily. You froze and you cut out. And...
All right.
So you were saying it was a
We can
valid
hear you, though.
concern. Yeah, we can hear you. But you said
R.I.P.
you were saying it was a valid concern, but also if you were short on supplies. ...
Ah, yes. Then docking there might be a good place in order if we want to get some edible plants or something like that. But that is depending on our supply shortage, our supply level, but whenever we get to that point.
Right.
Even though it is risky, it would also make for a good story. And we'll be able to let the other members of our fleet know in case they also accidentally dock there.
So,
And if we stay there for a short time and stay within a small area of our ship, maybe we won't succumb to whatever is going on there.
so Peter sort of rubs his brow, which is just sort of what he does when he's either really, really pissed off, really, really scared. It's, a sign of a strong emotion. So, I'm just going to ask some clarification here. Are you asking me to sail towards Arda, or asking me to take inventory of take a precise inventory of our needed survival supplies? Because, frankly, I'd rather take the inventory, but if you're telling me to go to Arda, it's your choice.
I guess it depends on where we would dock. So if it already be in the pathway that we need to go, like let's say if there is a place to dock on like the south corner of Arda on the way to meet the rest of our fleet, then once we get closer to there, if we are able to take an inventory, it may be a good idea to stop there. But if docking there would be more out of our way, then I guess we could take an inventory first before making that decision to go to dock at Arda, if that makes sense.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not necessarily a fan of this idea, but we are gonna have to sail around the southern tip. So,
Yep.
Docking there, I hate, and I really hate to say this, but it is pretty much as easy as not turning the boat, assuming there's like no rocks or anything.
Okay.
But if we're gonna do it, we should do it during daylight, because the lighthouse.
Absolutely. And my character has some spells that can provide some light as well, if we are in a situation that has full-blown darkness, including the light spell, which can be used as a counterspell against darkness. So,
well, it can be used as a counterspell against magical darkness. So basically, if you see an opponent casting the darkness spell, you can cast the light spell to prevent them. That's what that means.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a blocker.
Yeah. Light.
I like to imagine that you said that. I like to imagine that you said that in character. Like, you put your hand on Peter's shoulder and you're just like, my character can cast light spells.
Well, I suppose it's good clarification, because again, this is one of those things that you have all been working together for a while, so you probably know that Lieutenant Dawson-Clark can cast some spells. You've probably seen that in action, both for pragmatic usage like casting light, and also the spells that he's able to cast in combat.
Yeah.
If only there was also a cleric or something who maybe cast a bunch of spells that were based on light sources or something.
A cleric who worships a god.
Worshipped a sun god?
The sun.
Shame.
That would actually be really cool.
Guys, I created a sun.
That's a higher level
Hey,
spell.
I created a sun, and just hurls the sun at the enemy.
Just Dragon Ball Z.
All right, so what's your plan?
I think we should... Oh, go ahead.
Nope, I'm sorry. You go first. Since you're giving the orders.
I think we should head towards the southern tip of Arda, and as we approach that southern tip, we can take inventory of our supplies at that time, because I imagine it's going to take a couple of days to get there, depending on how far out we are, and I can actually get information about that because I have the knowledge of geography skill, if that's something that might be useful in this situation. And then as we approach the southern tip of Arda, we can, if we need supplies, we can dock there shortly. And then depending on the current time right now, we'll make sure we can search for supplies during the day so we can plan our trip that way. And then we can stay on Arda for a very limited time to avoid any kind of mystical things that might happen, so that we can get up on out of there whenever we need to.
All right. So I'll sail towards Arda, but I am going to be looking for an open spot so we can see trouble if it comes.
Okay. Would doing a knowledge of the geography around us be useful in this situation?
Peter Mathers has already sort of done that in order to get a heading, and I'm assuming that at the end of this conversation that's what you're going to do, Peter, is go up on deck and actually set the wheel and get things going, right?
Yep.
Okay. So basically, the next time we would need a knowledge geography check is depending on, I guess this is a good conversation because it is nighttime. You did the thing with the stars. Now you're having this conversation. So basically, once you get the ship underway, Master Mathers, you could stay up all night at the helm, but that would mean that you would be exhausted the next morning. Or you could take shifts, like when we do normal, camping out in the wilderness, and you take watch, right?
Yeah.
So you could take shifts, you could take a shift at the helm and then have someone else take a shift at the helm so that everyone gets a full night of sleep.
I kind of assumed that's how naval ships would work back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he bids goodnight to the lieutenant, finds his substitutes, and they, he retires, and they just sort of head to Arda.
Yep. Well, you think that's where you're heading?
Oh man!
One of your substitutes. One of your substitutes rolled a natural 1, so that's fun. But you don't know that.
Captain, there's a corpse on the wheel. What happened?
All right. So, is anybody else doing anything tonight, or are we just fast forwarding to the next morning?
I vote.
Percy's gonna spend the night in the captain's cabin, keeping an eye on the captain.
Okay. Are you staying up the whole night, or are you?
No. I'm napping. Yeah, just kind of sleeping in a chair,
yeah.
Really uncomfortable. Yeah, like where you wake up and you just feel like garbage and your neck hurts because you're 30.
How like garbage do you feel,
yeah.
Dr. Percy? Are you taking a point of exhaustion or not?
No. Just flavor garbage.
Okay.
Not mechanics garbage.
For flavor. Okay.
Yeah.
Flavor.
All right.
It's funny he mentioned the neck thing, because that happened to me today.
Ooh.
Yeah, welcome to being old.
I'm so excited to turn 30. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Welcome, my pretties.
All right, so the next morning dawns. The ship has been moving all night. What would y'all like to do?
Well, I praise the sun first.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
If it comes up.
Mm-hmm.
So
It'd be good to know where we are now.
Mathers is going to make another navigation check just to make sure everything is on course.
Yeah. Are you doing survival or knowledge geography?
Which one would be more appropriate in this situation? Because I don't know how far we are away from land.
Like I said, it kind of depends. So in this case, survival would be using landmarks, which there aren't a whole lot here, but so basically using the sun and the stars and things like that. Knowledge geography would be more like you looking at the map and calculating based on the heading that you set before you went to bed, where you think, based on the speed of the ship with that single sail, where you think you should be now. So
yeah, I think
they're different
geography
processes.
would be more appropriate, and I got an 18, so I guess it doesn't really matter.
Okay. So you calculate using the speed of the ship using that single medium sail. So it's not exceptionally fast because it is a big ship, and of course that larger sail would provide more propulsion. But you've been moving, and so assuming that your replacements kept the heading that you set for them, you calculate that you think you know where you are.
All right.
Okay.
Normal stuff then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything's copacetic.
Do we have an ETA on when we might arrive at the dock at Arda, or do we have an ETA on that?
So Mathers' calculation estimated that you should be there, or that you should be seeing that sort of, so I guess you said you wanted to dock on the southern tip, but I don't know that you decided exactly where, and I can give you more information to allow you to make choices about that. But his calculation estimates that you should be there approximately sometime this afternoon. To give you, so what little, so again, this whole ye olde map thing, so for Arda, you guys basically have, it's a blob on the map of, a vague shape that people have sort of figured out as they've been sailing past it, although it hasn't, like I said, received a whole lot of attention yet. You do know that there's a large river that empties into the ocean at that southern tip, and that there's some forests and things like that, but based on what little information you have on the map, that river mouth might not be a bad place to try to park a ship, as it were. I am not a seafarer.
Pull up.
There's no settlements there, right?
There are no Tainibrian settlements at the very least.
Okay. Does anybody on the ship know how to, harvest for food? Maybe that's something we should figure out before we decide to run up on the shore, planning to hunt, and then find out nobody knows how to hunt.
I have knowledge of nature. I'm not sure how handy that would be in that situation. And then I also have some fire spells. So, if we come across any animals, can cook them.
I mean, that's very.
I'm sure that's exactly what Caleb Widowgast would say too.
I'm taking the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild approach. Whenever you shoot a fiery arrow, it cooks the animal that you're.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, when you cook things, are you gonna sing the little song, the campfire?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
I have a
Dubious
+4
food.
on nature.
Dubious food. So yes, several people in your group do have some familiarity with nature and natural things. So you feel...
There's a few of us in this group, sure. I'm
Yeah.
just concerned that if we have to feed 20 to 40 crewmen, that 2 people who know how to hunt is not going to be nearly enough for the amount of food that we actually need. If we are a ship full of sailors who know how to sail.
Those 6 more experienced sailors that have been around for a while, they also have a good familiarity with the idea of foraging and things. Again, this is,
Okay.
As a naval ship, you've been doing a lot of being on other continents and having to subsist in, military-style situations.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, just making sure.
All right. So I'm gonna ask whatever crewmen are still hanging around to go down and give me as precise of an estimate of the food and water supply as they can, and clean up while they're down there.
Waryoshi says, what about 30 to 50 crewmen in 3 to 5 minutes?
Oh my god.
Look, I need my fireball because what happens
I
if
know.
I have to deal with 30 to 50 crewmen,
Yep.
30 to 50 commoners in 3 to 5 minutes?
All
30
right.
to 50 wild crewmen.
Exactly, yes.
Wild feral
Feral
crewmen. Wild feral lycanthropic crewmen.
Oh no!
There's just 30 to 50 clones of Will Ferrell just running
Wow.
around.
I mean, you eat the wrong bush, in some kind of unknown land. Who knows what
Right.
could happen?
It's a world of magic and fantasy. Anything could happen.
God,
30 to
those
50
wizards
feral
are
dragons, for all we
amazing.
know.
I wouldn't be that
Oh,
mean.
Jesus.
Would I? There are no dragons in this module.
Okay.
I know.
What?
Sorry.
Spoilers!
Dragon.
There are no
30 to
dungeons
50
and no
sometimes.
dragons in this module.
Oh man, so this is just.
Why am I here?
For the monsters that you will be encountering. Oh, he's gone. He rage quit. Do
Folks and
people
bastards.
rage quit D&D? I don't know.
30 to 50 feral ogres is what we're gonna run into.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That'll be fun. That's what we're gonna run into more.
Yeah, well, but
Just
right now
guessing.
you're
Wait,
just
what
on the
about 30 to
ocean.
50 feral hags? That's kind of close.
That's only off by one letter. That would be disastrous, though. Hags are bad news. If you had 30 to 50,
Yeah, 30
That's
to 50 of them.
that's like 10 to 20 covens. That's no
Actually,
good.
that wouldn't be that bad because they would just argue with themselves.
Well, we got sidetracked. What was it? Somebody said something about sending sailors down to do a complete inventory of resources. Is that the story?
Yep, the survival resources, the food, the water,
Okay.
the stuff that we will die in days without.
Nifty. So they're gonna go down and do an inventory. Okay. And they come back up and sort of describe to you, plus, handwritten list. They sort of reorganized the boxes and checked on things. So Peter Mathers, are you heading this up? This evaluation of the resources?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because my responsibilities are sailing, navigation, and stocking of ship, and that falls under it.
Nifty. In that case, give me just a straight intelligence check.
D20.
D20 plus your intelligence modifier.
So I got a 16. I am doing good with some of these rolls. Plus 2.
Okay, so you are able to sort of do some quick mental math, because everybody likes mental math, and figure out that your resources would have been fine for the return trip had it gone exactly as you expected, but because you were sort of blown off course north and are now having to sort of, take a little bit of a detour southeast around the continent, that you are fine for right now, but by the time you're approaching Perim, you might be running a little thin on stock.
All right.
How many days away are we?
Oh boy. You want me to calculate days for you?
Well, I have a spell that, creates food.
Oh, right.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh.
Clerics.
Well, I mean, that's something that I should probably know. So, why don't we just, call a meeting with, all the characters, because we're kind of the ones more or less in charge.
Yep.
And figure out what to do.
Nice.
So.
And we're meeting now.
Oh,
Yep,
we're meeting
and now we are.
Good,
Sorry.
good, good, good.
And now we're meeting.
Oh,
All right.
I'm still getting used to how a lot of the mechanics in D&D work, because it's normally if you're in a department, things just kind of get delayed until they get done. And
Everyone, please send me your schedules, and
Sure.
I will send out an email.
I'll send a doodle poll.
Yeah.
Can you make
Should we
it?
do a data roll? Yeah.
there's
Yeah, sorry, I
there's,
filled out the doodle wrong, and the day that you chose is actually not work for me anymore.
Well, I suppose
Because-
it's also worth mentioning that a lot of D&D games don't involve a strict hierarchy, right? So the
Yeah.
fact that we have lieutenant and if the captain was not convalescing, that we would have this sort of first in command, second in command, and then some other people. That's very different than a normal D&D party. So I totally get that it's we're expanding our skills and challenging ourselves to roleplay in different ways.
Yeah.
Challenging me, all right.
All right.
Calm down there, you old geezer.
Oh, yell at a cloud. Sorry.
So Peter
Yes.
has the list in his hand, the one that some of the crewmen wrote, and he sort of looks around and So I had my men do and women. I'm assuming this.
The ship is all crewed by men.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. You are not you are not aware of a single female on board.
Okay. All
Ship
right.
full of semen.
That is suspiciously
Thank
worded.
Yes.
Just
Why is
big
everyone
old
looking at me
coffin
funny?
ship. Okay. So he looks around and says, "I had my men go down and do an inventory, and if we wouldn't have ran into that storm, we'd probably be fine on our way back. But as it stands, we're probably going to have... I mean, we're going to have to go a lot out of our way to make it back home. So, I mean, we're low on supplies. Or we're going to be low on supplies eventually. So, I really hate to say it, but we're going to have to dock at Arda.
How many days short are we? How far off did we get blown off course?
Is that something that Mathers knows?
Yeah, well, I mean, you're guesstimating or making educated guesses. So including the day that you were dead in the water, which you used resources but weren't actually going anywhere, you're probably like 3 or 4 days short.
Okay.
That's a really narrow margin of error, and I'm going to have a chat with the commanding officer when we get back to port.
Yes, but the whiskers on the box and whisker plot are like a mile long in each direction because I'm an ecologist and data are messy.
Yeah, but the factor of safety on the food was like 1.05, and that's just not enough.
I mean, that's likely including like the safety margin. So, like they probably included some extra, but
that's
got blown so far out of the way that that extra is going to get used up, and there's no way we can make it back without, like, starving or dying of thirst.
Or
that's not ideal.
Sun God for more food.
I mean, can you make that happen?
I can make that happen. Well, I mean, Paylor can make that happen through me.
Can Paylor feed the entire ship for, nearly a week?
So it depends on how many people we have on the ship, but I believe I can create enough food to feed about 3 people.
We have a lot more than 3 people on
each time I cast, and I can cast 5. So, all right, let me do some math. I can do like 4. I can do 4 casts at 3 people each, which would be, I think, 12 people's worth of rations.
Peter has this sort of like...
So we could just... Yeah.
Peter has this sort of like look on his face that's this mix between angry and bemused, and...
There are 41 of you on ship, so it's the 4 of you plus the captain, 5, and then the 6 like sort of, mid-management NPCs, and then 30 low-level NPCs.
Sure.
He kind of chuckles as he says, a snarky comment, and he just sort of looks at him and says, I'll tell the 6 men that I sent down to get this list that they and maybe an extra quarter of the ship will be well taken care of.
Well, I have to take that back. That's a 3rd level spell, so I can't even...
Yeah.
Ignore me. I can create a bunch of water, though.
Nice.
Great, because we're told
that would be
handy by water.
Yeah.
That doesn't have salt created by the lieutenant, who's being very salty right now.
But the lieutenant's not being salty. The lieutenant's being quiet.
The master is being...
You're talking about the
master,
master.
Yeah.
The young upstart.
As much as I feel I'm hesitant to agree with the sailing master. I as the ship's physician, I cannot recommend these men go through hard labor without adequate rations. I could supplement our water supply a little bit, but I don't feel confident in their ability to maintain Tainibrian naval standards of decorum and production without sufficient rations.
I mean, as we're continuing the repairs on the ship, I certainly agree, but once we get the ship fully operational and on its way, is there no room for rationing of our food stock?
I mean,
I would imagine we have the storage space.
I would imagine that when Peter gave his response, he was definitely thinking of rationing, because he does not want to go anywhere near Arda. Like he's thinking of like, he is actively presenting the best case scenario, including like the bare minimum sustenance, severe rationing and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
even with his I really don't want to do this attitude, even he sees no options. Like, he's really, really trying to make, just going straight home sound good, and he cannot do that because of the situation.
Yeah. According to the protocols for rationing in that this would be the furthest that I'd be willing to push the food supply that we currently have. And I would not. I mean, nutritional regulations state clearly that we cannot deprive the crew of more than the current caloric intake that is available.
Yeah.
No intermittent fasting for Tainibrian?
Not for us.
Would Peter have any idea what how long the current caloric intake would last?
Yeah, that was the estimate I gave you. So that was like
okay.
Considering normal, yeah.
So they're already rationing.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, that's kind of like the military thing, right?
Yeah.
You can party when you're home.
Yep. So it looks like we are docking at Arda to gather materials that we can ensure that we will make it home with an adequate food supply. And we may even stumble upon some medicinal plants in case someone becomes ill on the way there, and it may also help the captain as well. Although Carter also takes into consideration like the fact that we don't know really what's going to be at Arda. It could be much like the creatures that were in the movie Annihilation, where
movie
that was an experience.
It's like a minor image, but major.
It could be a bear man. It could be a xenomorph.
You never know. So we don't really know what to expect, but we don't have much of a choice, and we know that there's bound to be some kind of plant life, hopefully around there, or some kind of something there that would help us continue along our way. So I guess we continue to sail through the day and arrive at Arda at some point.
Fair enough.
Yep. Yes, sir. And as Peter says that, like, he wants it to come out as angry, but like everybody in the meeting can tell that he is like absolutely scared shitless.
You're shaking in your boots.
Yep.
Yeah. He wore his brown pants today.
Yes.
I'm impressed that you brought a change of clothes on this ship. So are we...
It'll all be fine.
You know what? Honestly, I didn't bring a change of clothes. I just brought a Deadpool reference.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So are you just continuing your heading with the one sail as is? Did you guys want the sailors to be working on any other repairs, or are you just sort of going with what you got? Because that's the other thing, right? Your ship is going slower with only the one sail.
Yeah.
Yes. We can definitely speed things up by working on the larger sail, and that'll especially help us if we are trying to leave Arda in a rush in case we're being chased by anything. So we definitely want to be able to head out there as soon as possible. So
But the smaller sail might also help with like navigation. But if we're just going on a straight heading and we have a couple days away, I think the large sail's the way to go.
Yes.
Peter looks at him. I agree with that. We need to get that large sail going as soon as possible because I want to get the hell out of here.
Absolutely. And once we get to Arda, we can have a portion of the team go out and forage to see what's out there, and we can have a portion of the team maybe stay in and finish up any other repairs, including the small sail. But that we can get to whenever we get to Arda. So for now, we're going to have the crew work on the large sail so that we can speed things up and especially be able to get out of Arda when we need to.
All right.
Without any hiccups.
Nice. Is there any one person who would like to try in some way to either diplomacy or intimidate the crew members to assist them in completing the repairs on the large sail?
I'd be happy to read off some more scripture on the Shining one.
Go for it.
So wait. Is that diplomacy or intimidation?
It really depends what part he's reading.
Yeah, if I'm reading the Old Testament, then
Yeah.
No, I was just thinking more about like offering to read us a sermon.
Oh, that too. That is a threat.
Is that a reward or a threat?
Yeah.
I mean, excuse me, sir, but most of the gentlemen on this ship are devout followers of the chosen Tainibrian Church of Pelor.
You were all Pelor's chosen people.
We are his chosen people.
He guarded over Tainibria and sponsored Tainibria until such time as he was no longer able to access the material plane for whatever reason.
Oh,
All right, fine.
That's your
Peter
opinion,
just
I guess.
kind of smoked off, realizing that his lighthearted jab was not taken the way he intended, and just sort of.
My armor class is too high for your jab.
Oh my gosh! Oh man!
Oh, man.
That was brilliant.
Too bad you're not getting XP for this.
You guys don't do inspiration?
Actually, you know what? Yeah, you can. If there's a roll during the rest of this play session where you want to have advantage, you can roll a second d20. Like so before you make the roll at all, you can say you're using your inspiration and then roll 2 instead of 1. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, I did say I was going to start using inspiration, and then I just didn't because other things were happening. But yes, we will do
All
that.
right. Well, I'm going to give another sermon, and I'll let you fill it in yourself.
Oh, we get to imagine what. So
Yeah.
the radiant gives a we'll see based on
Well, we'll
his
find
roll.
out how
Yeah.
good this one is.
He gives another speech.
17 plus 5, so 22.
It is rousing and inspiring, and even though Percy is a devout atheist, he still finds the words and the energy of the man's voice to be inspiring. And let's see.
The sunlight seems to shine just a little bit brighter.
Yeah. Yep. And so.
Sure. Sometimes religion is a metaphor for stuff, and yeah. He gets it. He gets it. Yeah.
And you can also recognize that any port in a storm sort of dealio. That if this is what helps the men repair the ship and get you home, then it works. So yes. So they.
I'm supportive of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So they set to work on the large sail. And yep. So you're still moving because the medium sail is still working, and they are beginning the process of the large sail.
Yeah. And I'm going to help with just labor, even though I'm unskilled in carpentry.
Neat.
Unless there's some candle work that needs done, and then I can help with that, but...
Only very tiny, like, Central Park pond boats use candles behind their sails, but that is a...
I can't see what I'm working on. Got it.
Got it. He's holding the proverbial flashlight. Yeah. Anybody doing anything else while the Radiant is being inspiring and then helping out the crew?
No, Peter's just helping everyone out.
Cool.
I can roll something for a d20 for my craft skill.
Oh yeah.
To help to build the sail, especially since we are on a bit of a time crunch, because if we're sailing, if it's like kind of in the early morning and we're going to get there around noon, we definitely want to have this sail fixed up before we arrive, so that we are not strained, or not, so we don't have to stay there longer than we need to, really.
Yeah. Well, so you guys all had your meeting first, so I am gonna say it's around noon when you have the men start working on the medium.
Okay.
Sorry, on the large sail. Yeah. So the Radiant gave his speech, and then, but yes, you can use your craft skill to help as well.
It wasn't a speech; it was a sermon.
Whatever. You talked. Speech was involved.
Yes.
Glowingly.
All right, so I roll an 11, and plus 5 is 16.
Nice. All right, yep. So you are definitely also able to lend a hand. Is anybody doing anything else? Or we can continue zooming forward. So I will say, as we move towards nightfall on this second day, that Peter... You had calculated that you should be within sight of Arda this afternoon, and this afternoon came and went, and now it's this evening, and the lookout from the crow's nest has not spotted land yet.
Oh no.
Well, so Peter, let's see. Are there records that like each ship person takes?
I mean, you know who was on the watches.
Yeah, but do the people on the watches take records of like where they're going?
Yeah, they were following your heading, so they would, there would be a record saying, I kept the heading that was set by the sailing master.
Yeah, but would there be any sort of like backup to that? Like, if they took the wrong heading, would it?
Well, so that's the thing about these checks, right? Even though you as a player might know when you roll badly, the character is convinced that they were doing exactly what they tried to do. So even though one of those NPCs last night did roll a natural 1 on their navigation, they think that they were still following the correct heading.
All right.
Yeah.
So Peter does that sort of eyebrow rub thing that he does when he's very angry, because he is pissed off right now because he didn't want to go to Arda. And he's even more pissed off now that he's not at this place that he didn't want to go.
He's having a bad day.
Yeah,
it's a stressful time for everybody.
He's just really not a happy camper. So, rolling a survival check, 15.
Is that 15 total?
15 plus... And that would be a survival check for this one, right?
Yeah. If you're trying to re-navigate yourself or reorient yourself.
15 plus 7.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay. So with that 22, you are able to, as the stars are winking out again, be like, oh, ha, and just sort of like take like 2 fingers and move the wheel slightly, so you're sort of readjusting the heading. So you should be within sight of Arda, hopefully sooner rather than later.
That's what you said last time.
Now, would it be soon enough? Would it be soon enough to keep the captain from getting pissed off? Like, would he be able to be like, well, these things have a little bit of variation, or like, does Peter think that the captain would know that something got screwed up?
Again, you're moving very slowly with only this one sail in operation, so that adjustment is going to require some time to actually work. So you now estimate that you might be within sight of Arda as the dawn is breaking, basically.
Okay.
Whether or not the lieutenant is upset is entirely up to the discussion.
All right. Well, he's just gonna kind of avoid the lieutenant, knowing that the lieutenant wants to come up to talk to him about this. The lieutenant can come up and talk to him about this, but he's gonna.
I have to break character here for a minute. I love the fact that your character is 20, because this is how every undergrad I've ever had
Right?
dealt with problems.
But also,
I know.
I fucked up. I won't tell anybody, and maybe no one will notice.
But I also love that he said he's going to avoid the lieutenant. It's like a 70-foot long boat with 2 decks, right? So you're like, do, just like.
I'm gonna sleep in a rescue boat, being towed behind the boat.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the lieutenant's walking around, asking people have you seen it? Where is he? I need to talk to him.
Yeah. No.
Where is he? I need to find him.
I am completely in character, and I'm gonna break character for a second. But if you notice, this guy is completely different than Lucanus.
I love it.
I'm not playing the same character at all.
No.
So I am really trying to channel who I was in my early 20s.
Awesome.
So
Perfect.
Peter is like me in my early 20s minus the alcohol.
I'm glad you were I'm glad you were also a hotshot pilot in your early 20s. That makes this so much easier.
I mean, I still kind of am now, so... Alright, so Peter is sitting in there personally attending to the driving, because as much as he doesn't want to go to Arda, he does not want this screwed up again, so he's just going to do all of it himself.
Okay, so you are staying up all night to drive.
Yep, because he is that pissed off.
Alrighty. Is anybody else doing anything for the night?
How is the captain's health?
You can go do another heal check on him if you'd like to check.
That's a 22.
A 22. Yeah, so he's definitely stable. He might be sort of doing that, like, in and out of consciousness thing where, like, you know, he's lucid for a little while, but just very, very exhausted and not able to stay conscious for very long. So, you know, probably to the point where, like you could tell him what's going on, but, like, he's not necessarily going to be able to do a whole lot about it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna sit by his bedside and try and get him to drink a little bit of water whenever he's, you know, alert.
Okay.
That's it.
And that's what you're doing for the night? Okay. Anybody else?
Nah, I think Lieutenant will return to his chambers and in order to get a little bit of rest before checking up after a couple hours to see where we might be headed. That's whenever he goes and tries to find Peter to see where are we going.
Well, I think Mathers is now at the wheel, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Peter's at the wheel. He's just sort of like not wanting to give the lieutenant a check-in because something got screwed up, and he's not quite sure if it's his fault or his underling's fault, but he just, like, he knows where he's going and he knows how to fix it. He just doesn't want, like, this, on the off chance that it was one of the underlings, he doesn't want this screwed up again.
Oh yes, and
so he's personally attending to it.
And after the lieutenant wakes up from his couple-hour nap, he's walking around asking the other sailors and some of the junior sailors, like, what? Do you know why we might be when we might be arriving at Arda? You know, it's been longer than anticipated. What's really going on? And they kind of avoid the lieutenant or kind of give a vague answer, like, oh, we're coming upon it just in a couple of minutes or something like that, or in a couple of hours, not a couple minutes.
Well, and most of them would probably even just defer and say, well, sir, that would probably be a question for the sailing master, because I'm just tying ropes and whatever. Mm-hmm.
That's true. So the lieutenant goes and finds the sailing master, realizing that ideally we would have been in Arda by now. But that's okay, because the lieutenant also acknowledges that the medium sail would probably cause us to go a little bit slower than normal. So let's see. I don't know if there's anything I'm gonna do here. Or I can use a sense motive.
That's something that you could do once you're in conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's a sense motive is basically for using, like, if you think that he might be lying to you, or you think that he might be trying to sell you a line or something like that, you can ask to do a sense motive in order to figure out the person's true intentions behind their words. Yeah.
I see.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't think we need to do that just yet for this situation, but because there's no reason to think that there would be any kind of deception or anything.
Right.
But we do want to gather some information. I don't know that I need the gather information skill for that, but just to.
It depends on who you're talking to, but like your instinct, again, you've been on this ship for quite a while and you've been in the Navy for quite a while. Your instinct is that the sailing master would have that information.
Yeah, that's true. So the lieutenant goes to see what's up and to see when we might be hitting Arda, since we have not already, and what might have gone wrong.
Yeah. Peter just sort of points to the map and he's like, well, somehow we got off course. I'm not sure if I did it, not sure if one of my men did it, but that's the situation we're in. So I calculated the bearings using the stars because, you know, it's easier at night to navigate because stars, and I know we're heading in the right direction. Probably get there around dawn. But yeah, these things happen, and I don't know. That's just the size of it. That's all I can tell you.
Awesome, and that is good to know. So I guess there's not too much to do here at this point, other than prepare to dock at Arda, and to use any of the food supplies that we have in order to gather the energy for the folks that are going to be going out and gathering any additional food supplies at Arda. And I guess we can fast forward till when we get there, unless there's some other plans.
If nobody else wants to do anything for the night, we can fast forward to the morning. Peter Mathers, you are staying up all night at the helm?
Yep. I am personally attending to the navigation because Peter feels a real sense of duty to his job because, he's young. He got, the navigation, specialist position on this boat, and that's why he's so pissed off that it got screwed up. So he's just going to personally supervise it.
Well, that's an admirable amount of responsibility. However, you will be fatigued in the morning, which means that you will have a -1 to your strength and dexterity modifiers, which also means that your strength and dexterity-based attacks have a -1 to them.
All right.
But it is morning dawning. Everybody is waking up, and from the crow's nest you hear, "Land ho!"
Yay!
Yeah. So you hear land ho, and just as you hear land ho, I need everybody to make a reflex save.
Ooh. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I got 10.
Okay.
17.
Okay.
19.
Okay.
That's a 7.
Oh no!
All right. So just after the sound of the land ho announcement from the crow's nest dies down, the entire boat sort of bumps or jostles, and the three of you are able to keep your footing, although it definitely surprises you. Percy, you get knocked to the side, so you sort of fall on not on your face, but like you fall on the deck. Because the bump surprised you. And so the ship has been jostled in a way that was not the action of the waves. And on that, we're going to take our halfway bio break.
Oh!
So, again, if you have any questions for the cast or the crew or whatever you'd like to call them, please make sure that you put them in the Twitch chat or in the Periscope chat. I do have them open in case you have any questions. Thank you for... Quilton and War Yoshi, who are both in Twitch, or at least
one of those is me. So
one of those is you.
You're welcome.
Are you...
I'm Quilton.
Oh, you're Quilton. Okay, well, thank you, War Yoshi, for watching and participating in the chat. We appreciate you being here. And also, hey, thanks, Weirdlings, for hosting us. My friend Mark, I think I was telling you guys about him earlier. So the Weirdlings does all kinds of cool stuff, including several tabletop RPGs, like a D&D game and a Star Trek game. So they've been hosting us this evening on Twitch, so thanks so much, Weirdlings. We're going to take a real quick bio break, but we will be back in a few minutes. So go grab a drink of water or a snack or whatever, and then come back to find out what bumped the boat.
So.
All right, and we're back. Hello, everyone.
Ahoy!
We all got some snacks and some new drinks, and I petted my dog and that kind of thing. So we're back from our bio break, and we're ready to go. So the ship, the Drake's Crest, was just bumped in a rather unfamiliar way, I guess we can say. It wasn't the normal action of waves on the sea that the player characters are used to. This was something else. Percy was thrown to the deck, and this is where we're picking up, is in the moments just after the bump.
So Peter rubs his brow, double fuck, and then puts on his armor, grabs his sword, and just sort of arms up just in case.
Can the lieutenant do a perception check? Would that be useful right now?
You may. Please do.
All right, let me...
I am also going to run to the side of the boat and...
You can also do a perception check, and if you're not logged into Roll20, now would be the time to do so.
Oh
yes,
ominous.
I'm there.
For our viewers at home, Roll20 is the website service that we use to play our game maps. Since we're not all sitting around the same table, unfortunately, we are able to use Roll20 maps so that everybody can participate in combat visually.
Sorry, perception check or like spot?
You should have a perception skill.
Ooh.
So yeah, I sort of like, this is a hybrid 3-5-5 thing.
Yeah.
Because spot and listen sort of do the same thing.
That's kind of what I gathered.
Or like you're usually spotting and listening at the same time, so I like perception. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I rolled a 20 plus 2, so I got 22 for that one.
Wow.
I got seawater in my face. I got a 7.
You got a 7.
As soon as I just went overboard.
Oh no.
Well, as Lieutenant Dawson-Clark, as you peer over the starboard wooden hand railing, you see nothing but waves lapping against the side of the ship. However, just as you're about to step back on the deck, you see an unbelievably large shadow move out from under the Drake's Crest, turn, and move back under the ship and out of sight. As the shadow moved, you heard a faint rumbling beneath the water. Suddenly, you hear a strangled cry and turn to see many of your sailors trembling and pointing to an immense dorsal fin that has just broken the surface of the water not too far from the port side. Do you see it on the map? I think I put it on the wrong side. Hold on a minute. Come here to you.
Oh, dang!
Oh, no! There it is. We'll spin it. Can I spin it? I don't know how to
Is
spin
this
it.
a normal-looking dorsal fin?
It's too big. I can't spin it. It's just going to be over here then. Screw it. Is it a normal-looking dorsal fin? Give me a knowledge nature check. Hey!
Nature
Hey.
check, roll
I
credits.
can't do that.
You can't do a nature check. That's just impossible.
Well, I'm not trained in it, so...
Oh, well, in that case, then you can't. But someone else can if they'd like. It looks like a dorsal fin to you, Radiant.
I just
My
realized
eyes
I'm
still
still
burn, man.
below decks.
Anybody?
All right.
I see nothing. I'm
let's
below
see.
decks.
Okay.
I got a 16.
You got a 16. Peter Mathers, you may not have been on the sea for very long, but you have heard stories of a monstrous shark that eats sailors and ships. You think that this might be a megalodon.
Yes.
David Schiffman
so
is out there somewhere very angry at us.
No, I interviewed David Schiffman for a video I made about the Meg movie before it came out.
That's amazing.
I bet he's not watching, but later on we can share this with him.
I don't know. Maybe he'll share it and we'll get some, 8 followers. Anyways, so Peter just he's up with the lieutenant, points out there, and he's like, I know a goddamn shark when I see one.
What's everybody yelling about?
It's a shark. It's a big shark. and at that, I will need you all.
Peter points his sword out and
It's a roll initiative.
for Radiant oh shit, sorry. For Radiant Brown, he points his sword out there and he just says big ass shark.
Big ass shark. That is a true
I see
thing.
it.
Big
I
ass shark.
see it. Oh.
My character
shark.
likes to curse for some reason.
I mean, we're sailors, so.
I'm going to take a 10-minute break.
Fair
I'll be
enough.
back when it's my turn.
Okay. What did you roll?
I rolled a 2, and I have a -1, so that's a 1 for me, dog.
Good, dog. All right, so initiatives. Anybody over 20?
Oh, were we supposed to roll for initiative?
Please.
I got a 9, but it's +7, so like 16.
That's not over 20. Anybody over 20? Nope.
No.
Okay, then we're doing 15 to 20.
I got a 17.
Okay. Anybody higher than Percy?
I got a 14.
Okay. Carter got a 14. Anybody else above a 10?
Huh.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, yeah, so that's the three of... Wait. Yeah, what did Peter get? Peter Mathers.
16.
Oh, 16. Okay, whoops. So you go before Carter.
I'll be here if you guys need me.
Okay.
Few water.
Sorry, writing the initiative order is always such good TV. It's such good TV. And then you got a 1. Okay.
Yeah, I did. We're gonna change the stream over to the map.
I mean, that's pretty on brand for clerics, honestly.
Sorry, I was busy praising the sun. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, okay, all right. Big ass shark.
Praising.
Big
Sun in
scary
your eyes.
shark. Okay, so for funsies, if you're looking at the map, I
Scary
don't know
shark, doo-doo,
why I'm
doo-doo.
not able to spin my shark. Why?
This is not a baby shark.
There should be a little...
Oh, there it is. I can see it now. I just couldn't because the background is blue, and so is the thing where they they select. Okay.
Oh wait, this is left shark.
Left shark. Well, actually, I guess it would kind of be like this because it was swimming out from under the boat. All right, but yeah. So you can see where the front of the boat is, and on your ship you will see 1, 2, 3 ballista. Okay.
3 what?
Ballista.
Ballistae.
Ballistae. So the story on the ballistae is that they can be manned by 1 or more people, but how that works is sort of dependent on the person who's in charge giving orders to the regular sailors, as it were. So I'm going to... Oh no! I'm going to anticipate that you guys will probably want to be doing your own sort of combat and not using the ballista because you have some special skills and talents that the regular sailors do not, and that you'll probably want to assign the regular sailors to the ballista, but you will have to do that on your turn. So the expert sailors, those 6, actually go first. So they're sort of freaking out about the shark. Because, a lot of them have heard stories of the megalodon, but they may not have actually seen one before. So they're very nervous, but they're sort of starting to think about moving towards the ballista. So they're gonna do that for their turn. But the first one of you to go is then Percy. And you said you were below decks. You'd been knocked to your feet. And I imagine as they were seeing the shark, you were getting to your feet. And you're hearing some shouting from above decks.
Okay. Yeah. So Percy gets to his feet, runs. He's smashed his nose against the bulkhead, so he's bleeding. He's a real fair skinned guy, so the blood really stands out. And he runs up on deck, dashes up on deck, and is like, "I've got a sick man down here. What the hell is going on?"
Big ass shark.
And then
oh, you can reply on your turn, bro.
yeah.
Sorry.
And then I imagine sees everybody looking overboard towards the shark, and it runs to the deck and freezes.
Okay, so you are on deck.
Unsure of what to do. Yeah.
Okay, so that's your turn.
Yeah.
Cool. Peter Mathers, you're up next.
All right. So are those experienced sailors still kind of milling around?
They're not milling around, but for their turn, they started moving towards battle stations, as it were. But they didn't actually do anything yet.
All right. So Peter yells at the top of his lungs, "All right, men, if it can bleed, it can die!" And then he launches an arrow at it.
Okay, so you're taking out your crossbow?
Yep.
And shooting at it?
I'm shooting at it.
All
I'll shoot that there shark.
I'm gonna shoot that there
Well,
shark.
I don't think so. I don't think it's actually. Let me check real quick. Yeah, it's just a short bow, not a crossbow.
Oh, you have a short bow, right? Okay, yes.
Yep.
Because he is a scout, which is
Yep.
another fun class that you won't find in the regular player's handbook.
All right.
It's kind of like a ranger, but with some different flavor.
Let's see. Do I roll the 20 first?
Yep, you roll the 20 and add so it should say there with the short bow d20 plus something for the attack. But remember, you are subtracting 1 from that because you have a penalty to your dexterity and your strength right now because
my dexterity is +2, so I should really only add 1, right?
So that where it says on that sheet d20 plus something, I already did all the math for you, but I didn't do all the math for you being fatigued. So do the d20 plus whatever and then subtract 1 from that.
Okay, so I got a 17 for the roll, and then the dexterity is normally +2, but since I'm under penalty, it should only be a +1, so I should have the equivalent of an 18.
An 18. So you, hands shaking, notch an arrow on your bow, or knock an arrow on your bow, and pull back and fire, and it sort of grazes the skin on that dorsal fin, but it doesn't actually embed itself. Those dermal denticles are too stiff, and the outside of the shark is a little too armored, and the 18 attack with the bow did not pierce the flesh of the shark. Dermal denticles, fun fact, that literally means skin teeth. So sharks have
Family Channel.
So sharks have teeth on their skin, which is super cool. Like if you ever get a chance to see an image of shark skin under the microscope, it's really neat.
That's better than the other way around.
Teeth skin?
Yeah, the shark has teeth for skin.
Well, I mean, aren't those just called gums?
Skin for teeth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so you moved, you shot, that's the end of that. Carter, you are up.
Awesome. So I'm able to shoot a flare. So that will create a burst of light within 30 feet, and that'll frighten the shark. So I want to aim it towards the front of the shark's nose because that's the most sensitive part of a shark. So in order to get it at its weak spot, that's where I aim it.
Just so you know, so it says within 30 feet. That shark. So each of these squares is 5 feet. So the shark's nose is more than 30 feet away from you. But if you wanted to shoot it kind of at an angle and you wanted to get it basically so it would be distracting in the shark's periphery, you would be able to hit it that far. But the flare is not a long range spell. So the shark is almost as big as your boat, almost.
Oh yeah, we're gonna need a bigger boat.
I was waiting for it all night.
Oh yeah.
All right.
All right.
Is that what you'd like to do then?
Yes, and with the shark, I know that some creatures would be dazzled after that attack. Would that be something that?
Yes. So basically, the shark needs to. I'm looking at the spell. The shark needs to make a Fortitude save. Right? That's what it says. Yeah, save or be dazzled for 1 minute. So that's a Fortitude, a DC of 13. Spoiler alert, there's no way you can fail. Yeah. I'll tell you the shark's Fortitude save bonus later, but suffice to say it was not dazzled.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
You see the flare go off.
The old razzle-dazzle.
But the shark does not seem to be distracted by ye old razzle-dazzle. Carter, are you doing anything else? Are you moving around? You also have the opportunity to shout something if you'd like. Remember, you are basically in charge right now. So to help you with that point, basically these ballistae, there are 3 of them, they can be manned by 1 person or 2 people. If they are manned by 1 person each, then they are. Then it takes 3 full round actions to load them. before firing. If they're manned by 2 people, then it takes 2 full round actions.
Okay. I'll go ahead and man one of those.
Well, I was. Well, I mean, you certainly can. But I was also indicating that you could tell your crew how many.
Oh yeah, you're right.
To do. Yeah.
Okay. So we can have it so that it'll take 2 round actions to man them. So we're gonna have the junior sailors do that.
Okay.
Or like more of the junior members of the crew. And should I do a diplomacy check for that?
You can basically give that order, and they're gonna do what you tell them to, because
That's true.
Yeah. So basically, that'll mean there will be
big-ass shark.
Yeah. 2 of the sort of junior level sailors on each of those ballista, and then you've got a whole mess of other junior sailors and the 6 expert sailors, sort of continuing the business of the boat moving, because the boat can still move every turn.
Okay,
Like,
yeah,
I mean,
is true.
like, obviously the boat is still moving. It's not like you didn't just, like, drop the anchor when the shark bumped the boat, but...
Okay. Yeah. And I think if I'm able to cast one more spell, if that's something I'm able to do. Or
Only
is that
one per turn, unfortunately. But you can
I understand.
hold what you'd like to do for your next turn. Yeah.
I gotcha.
Nice. All right. So that was Carter's turn. Now it's the shark's turn. Oh, boy. So the shark... The shark's turn is, well, I mean, obviously it's going to, like, swim around in turn, because it can't just, like, turn on a dime like I just made it turn. But basically,
It'll splash.
Yeah, it's going to turn back around, and it is going to attack your boat. This is always the fun part, where the DM is, like, playing against themselves, because now I have to, like, look at the AC of the boat versus, like, the shark's attack and whatever. Rolling for the shark to bite. Shark bites boat, and shark does how much damage when it bites?
Is the boat flat-footed, or is this a touch attack?
Ha. So funny.
That's a good question.
Alright, so that's a 4d6 plus
question.
15 points of damage when the shark bites something. That's a lot of damage.
Oof.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, woo! That's 18
Well,
plus...
it was fun playing, everybody.
18 plus 15 is a lot of...
We all round.
Oh,
Alright, so it takes a huge, crunchy, splintering wood bite out of the front of your ship, and you feel it. The whole ship shakes. I mean, it's still sort of moving, but there's a giant hole in sort of like the port side of the bow, kind of right at the water line. So that was cool.
no.
Mm-hmm.
All that work we put into fixing those.
Yeah.
No.
Yep. Alright, so now it is the junior sailor's turn, and yes, they are going to move to those ballistae and start, firing them. So they will, and I should do, can you all make, reflex saves again when the shark bit the boat? I want to make sure that you know.
I got a 20.
A natural.
Natural 20.
Bow, bow, bow.
Wow.
7.
7.
I just wish I would have gotten that on the attack.
Percy?
I got 15.
13. Okay, so Radiant, this time you are knocked over. You're still. Were you on the edge?
Yeah, I was like, well, I was by the side, and then I was just...
So you were at the rail.
I was at the rail.
Do you guys know what these are?
Is that a percentile?
These are percentile dice.
Mm.
So you fell. Which direction are you falling?
Good question.
This could be over real quick.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying my -12 to my swim check.
All right. So Radiant, you fall, but you sort of like catch yourself on the railing and sort of flop onto the deck, and there's this big
Thanks,
clang and like a little bit of a poof of dust.
The sun god watches out for those who watch out for others.
Also,
fuck the ocean.
Also, fuck the ocean. Oh man.
Marine biology
man.
Twitter just starts angrily tweeting at us.
I was gonna say, if the Dugongs and Sea Dragons people, hey Dugongs and Sea Dragons, but if you're watching us now or later, please don't hate us for like the bad job we're doing of playing with a boat. This is my first time using boat mechanics in D&D.
Also, I don't hate the ocean.
No,
No,
like it.
it's too late. It's canon. You can't take it back
No.
now.
No.
Character
Right.
hates
Sun
the
God
ocean.
hates the ocean. That's why he makes it evaporate.
All right.
Mm.
So everybody maintains their footing except the Radiant, who has a scare, but holds on to the railing. But 2 of your sailors do fall overboard into the water. They are on the starboard side of the ship, but they did fall off the boat into the water. That's the starboard is right.
Thank you.
So they are on the opposite side of the ship from where the shark is right now, where the megalodon is. That's so many syllables. But they are in the water with a giant shark. But the rest of the junior sailors move either to continue making the ship go, and then, yes, 6 of them do split off and start working on the ballista. And now it is the marshal's turn. So you need to, basically, the way this works is that you would have to use half of your movement to get up off of being on the floor. Unless you want to stay sprawled on the floor.
Sorry, the Marshal?
The Radiant.
Sorry, Marshal, Radiant Marshal. Sorry, I just
The
wrote
Marshal's
down...
on the floor with me? That's so... I was all alone down here on the floor.
Sheryl, you created these names. I just want to say.
I did. I'm sorry. I just wrote down first names on the initiative.
All
So,
right.
yes. Marshall Brown,
Oh,
you are
sorry.
on the floor.
Oh my god, I forgot my own name.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you get for coming up with a major scientist type situation.
Yeah, wait, who's on first?
I was just
Yeah,
going for,
exactly.
like, British-sounding names, okay?
Can I do a side jaunt real quick? In the campaign that I'm running, I have one of the main enemies that everybody's fighting are gnolls. They're like big wolf dudes.
Are they regular gnolls?
They are regular gnolls. But
No.
I didn't realize this when I created it, but I had a character whose name is Anol, A-N-O-L.
Oh, no.
And now every time that I say this person's name, all my players are like,
Oh, no.
Where is this Noel?
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh,
No.
no.
At least you also have a player named Noel.
Anyway, I'm going to stand up.
You are going
So-
to stand up?
All right, so a standard action is separate from like the move. It's not a full action, right?
No, it would say full round action.
Okay.
I don't think you have any full round action spells.
And also clarify this for me.
Yes, clarify.
Clarify. Is there a difference between an animal and a creature?
Yes.
Is this
What spell are you
massive-
trying to use?
calm emotions?
Oh.
There's a calm animals spell and a calm emotion
Right.
spell. And the calm emotion spell just says that it targets a creature.
Calm Emotions does.
Yes. Calm animals says only ordinary animals with an intelligence of 1 to 2 can be affected by the spell. Calm emotions, it's a spell that calms agitated creatures.
Right, this is a creature. It is not a
Okay.
regular animal. Yeah.
Then I am going
This is a
to.
monster.
You don't know that.
I mean.
I'm gonna.
His mother doesn't think he's a monster.
No,
He's a
Megalodon
lovely
mommy.
boy.
She came out of a deep sea trench to. Never mind. I'm going to stop while I'm ahead.
All right.
No, they are mythical creatures. They do not exactly. They do not exist.
It's definitely bioluminescing all over its body. It's just this glowing white shark in the water. It's really easy. Nope. Anyway.
It was so easy to hit. Why haven't we hit it yet?
I know.
I'm gonna pull kind of use the railing to pull myself up. And
Ye old bones.
it wasn't like this before the millennials. And then I'm going to grab my giant. I actually forgot to mention this earlier. Like this giant sun medallion that hangs around my neck. It's like 2 pounds.
Like a rapper necklace.
Yeah, it's like Flava Flav,
Flav,
except
yeah.
Flava Flav's
Flava
clock.
Paylor.
Flava Paylor.
Flava Flav.
That needs to be a t-shirt. Flava Paylor.
And I'm going to hold this out to the creature, and I'm going to just yell out, "Calm, like the morning sunrise." And I'm going to cast Calm Emotions on this creature,
And what
which
is
I
it?
believe
Nice.
There's a save of some kind.
it is will negates, so I assume will save.
Okay. What does it need to beat?
It needs to beat. This is what, a second level spell, so it needs to beat a 15.
Okay. It beats it.
Oh!
Has
Hello.
no effect. It rolled a
Yeah.
20. Well, it rolled a 12 plus 9 is a 21.
How the hell does it have a 9 plus 9 wisdom?
I told you I would tell you it's fortitude after we were done with combat, because its fortitude is crazy.
It's a
No
shark, but it's a
ordinary
big.
beast.
His brain is like this big.
It's a daddy shark.
Do.
All right.
Nice. Alrighty.
Well,
Is that it, Radiant?
let's see. Am I allowed to order some of the people as well?
I mean, you can.
Are there any ropes or rigging that some people could throw to the people who are in the water
Yeah,
to get them out?
it's a ship. There are lots of ropes. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to point to 2 or 3 of the people on the starboard bow closest to the people who fell off, and order them to throw a line in after the people who fell in to get them out.
Cool. Which is good because it is now the expert sailor's turn. So 3 of them will use rope checks, and that'll be their. Whoops. Or I could throw a d20 on the floor. They will make use rope checks and spend their turn trying to toss ropes to these people in the water. Yeah. Okay. So you do see 2 ropes make it over the side and land fairly close to those guys. They're still probably going to have to do a little bit of swimming to get to them, but there are ropes in the water. Yep. Alrighty. Percy. Percy Quilton.
All right.
Dr. Percy
So
Quilton.
Percy is gonna
Your page
dash
is going
a couple of feet to the.
What?
Okay. A couple of feet to the side to where his there's a footlocker at the front of the forecastle. He
The foxhole.
pops that open, and that's where his heavy crossbow has been still stored. So he grabs his heavy crossbow out of the footlocker, slams a bolt into it, and runs to the rail, propping it up on the rail and taking aim right at that big ugly fish face.
Do it. Shoot the
He's
shack.
gonna.
Shoot the shack.
Oh shit!
Uh-oh.
Oh damn!
Oh, damn. Hot damn.
There you go.
Yeah, as he hits the rail, he's yeah. I think the rail is maybe slick with all that sea spray that hit Radiant in the face because the bolt goes arrived 11. I assume 11 does not hit.
No, it does not hit. So yeah, with all of that rushing and the fact that you're trying to get set up, it goes pretty wide. Like you can see the shark well enough, but it just.
Yeah,
As soon as
he's
you
still
slam it
bleeding
down, it
too. Like
fires off the mechanism.
Yeah. Because you said he bonked his nose. Mm-hmm.
Shit.
He's got blood in his mouth now. Like you know when somebody's got blood in their mouth and it's in between their teeth and it just highlights your teeth almost. Yeah.
Like
it's
when a
like
boxer
that.
smiles.
Yes, when a boxer smiles.
Yeah.
Yes, this is exactly what it looks like right now. Yeah.
Nice. I
Also,
for a
so
split second,
he's got.
I thought you meant the dog, and then I was like, no, he didn't mean a boxer dog. He meant a boxer.
No.
That'd be a bloodhound.
Yeah. Also, his he wears this kind of woolen knit wool hat, and it's kind of moved up like this. And so his red curls are kind of poking out underneath it, so he looks like kind of a cone head kind of look. Yeah, he looks a little bit crazed currently.
I'm starting to think that we ran
Percy's
away from
turn.
You think he ran away from where?
I'm starting to think we ran away from combat at the beginning of this, and not that we are coming back glorious from some land grab.
It is a very big shark.
Yeah.
You were not.
We haven't won any awards for competency.
No, you weren't fighting very large land sharks either. So there's
a bunch. There's 100 tiny land sharks.
100 tiny land sharks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you, Percy. Peter Mathers, it's your turn.
So what's happening with the ballista right now?
So they're in the process of being loaded. There are 2 junior sailors on each ballista, and they are working on loading them.
All right. I go to help load whatever ballista looks far enough along.
That's not. Basically, it's a 2-person. Like it's a 1-person or a 2-person job, but like a 3rd person, there isn't really anything else to do.
Oh,
yeah.
I'd just be getting in the way. Okay, never mind.
You can if you'd like.
How close is the shark to the boat?
I mean, its face is right up on there. It took a big bite, right? So it's like right next to the boat. Well, part of the shark is right next to the boat. Part of the shark is like 40 feet away, but
Yeah. Well, I'm just sort of wondering if it's like close enough to hit with my sword.
I mean, it's at the water line. This is a I don't know if your arm would be long enough to just like stab you down, or if you did, there would be some sort of penalty. But if you'd like to figure out a way to get yourself closer to the shark, be my guest.
You just throw your sword.
No, that
Like
sounds like a no to me. So I'm gonna try to launch another arrow.
Okay.
And this time I got 4, so it goes really, really wide.
There's arrows flying all over the place, in the air, hitting the water, not hitting the shark.
And this one hits another arrow in midair. Critical failure.
Okay, so that's Peter Mather's turn. Lieutenant Carter.
Alrighty, so the shark is a little bit closer to the ship.
Yes.
And especially the weak point of the shark, the snoot, if you will, the nose math unit. I think that's a very technical term.
Mm-hmm.
The
Snoot. Absolutely. Boop the snoot.
Yeah, we gotta boop the snoot. That's how we're gonna beat this shark. 2K19. Not 2K19, 942, is that the year? Yeah.
What?
Doesn't this take place in like the year 940?
952.
Something.
952.
952,
Yeah.
my mistake.
Year 1000.
So now that it's closer, I'm not going to do what I was originally. I'm going to save what I was originally going to do for later, if we need it. I was going to throw a fire spell, but we're going to save that. We don't need all that.
Mm-hmm.
For now, because the snoot's exposed, I'm going to use a flare right at the snoot to see if I can, dazzle it, and maybe that will, I don't know if that's something that will actually leave some damage, but because it is pointed towards the shark's weak point, then maybe. Or it'll make the shark, it'll scare the shark and it'll swim away, hopefully.
Okay. So you're casting flare again?
Yeah, okay. Right at the towards the shark's snoot.
All right, another.
The more you say snoot, the more I think that you think that's the scientific term.
I know, right?
It's not. I know.
Let's make it one.
Out of the 5 of us, the person who knows the most about fish is like, yes, dude. Like, none of us can call on it.
So it did make its fortitude save again, but why is the snoot of a shark so sensitive, Emily? What are those things called on the front that it uses to sense? Snooters. What are those special organs? What are those special organs on a shark's snoot that help it be good at sensing things in the water?
I should remember the names of those sensory organs, but I unfortunately do not. But they're able to sense the electromagnetism in the water. It's how they navigate, really. Yeah. I'm not an expert on shark anatomy. I should say that before I.
They also use them to sense the electrical impulses coming off of fish, right? So yeah. Anybody else know what those are called?
Ampullae of Lorenzi?
Yeah, the ampullae of Lorenzini. You got it. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. Yeah, that was actually on an
discovered
episode
by
of The Flash I was
Italian by
watching.
any chance?
I knew
What
that
was
it sounded like some sort of pasta.
It does.
That
Like
makes
if
sense.
I was going into a restaurant,
That's
they
that
had
black
the
egg pasta,
Lorenzini, I'd be
right?
like, I will have that.
I will have that one, please. All right, so she, so Lieutenant Carter casts flare again at the snoot of the shark. Shark gives no fucks.
Okay.
0 snoots given.
0 snoots given.
But with the snoot did not work.
0 snoots given. Okay, so the shark is gonna move around over here, and it is gonna, because it can sense with those ampullae of Lorenzini or whatever. I don't know how to pronounce it properly. But it can sense the flailing of the 2 sailors who had fallen into the water and are trying to swim to the ropes. And it is going to make an attack to try to bite and perhaps swallow one of them.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. It yep. Yeah, so it bites one of the guys and then
Bye, Steve.
yeah, it bites him and does basically the equivalent of a grapple, and he is in its teeth right now. It is about to swallow him. R.I.P. A random unnamed NPC.
No, Randy.
Okay, but that is the shark's turn. So now it is all of those junior sailors' turn. So the junior sailors who are loading the ballistae take a second round to load them, so they are now loaded, so that they can be fired on the next turn. And the sailor that's in the water is going to try to swim for the rope. And he is flailing because the shark just came up near him and he is very frightened. So I'm not sure if he did not exactly get the rope. The other sailor who's in the shark's teeth is going to try to get out of the shark's teeth. And that does not go especially well. Yeah. So that's the state of things as we arrive back at Radiant Brown's turn.
Question.
Answer.
Does the command spell require understanding on the part of the creature?
I believe so.
So it says language dependent up at the top, but the spell doesn't seem to say anything about needing to understand the language of the spell. It just says you give the subject a single command which it obeys to the best of its ability at its earliest opportunity. You may select from the following options.
Yeah, it says language dependent, so basically that means that it has to understand what you're saying. Because it's a one-word thing that you say, but like
Sure.
if you said it to a thing like this, which does not have an intelligence that gives it language abilities, or
Yeah.
you said it to someone who doesn't speak your language, it doesn't work.
Have we any indication that this thing speaks Tainibrian?
A common. Give me a nature check.
I am not going to do a nature check on if the shark speaks English.
Just give me a
It was like, yum, sailors.
You could give me a straight intelligence check. Well, because that's what it would be if you're untrained in knowledge.
I mean, I don't think that the shark is going to...
You don't think the shark is going to understand?
I don't think the shark speaks languages, so...
Okay.
I think you should roll for it anyways.
Just in case he gets a 1 and is convinced it believes him.
I know you
Or
believe
maybe
me.
he'll get a 20.
Hey! Stop!
Bad. He just takes a rolled up newspaper and smacks it on the snoot.
Alright.
No, drop it.
Here's my other option. This guy's he's about 25 feet away from the side of the boat,
Yes.
just barely, right?
Yeah.
And so the dude inside of his mouth is also about 25 feet.
Yes.
I'm going to cast Enlarge Person on the dude inside of his mouth.
I didn't actually.
Whoa, you can do that?
I didn't actually roll damage for the shark on that bite. I wonder if that dude is even still alive.
Well, please tell me if the dude is still alive before
Yeah, well, I mean,
enlarge
you'll
the
have
corpse
to-
in his mouth. So it's just, he's so full, he's done eating people, and now he's going to leave us alone.
Let's see. That's okay. So make a perception check for me.
Okay. Oh, I couldn't eat another bite.
He wants a to-go box.
Can I get this in a people bag?
In the main game, we make fun of Lucanus for being especially vicious, but here's a guy who just watched a sailor get eaten, and he's like, well, at least I can fill up the shark's belly.
I mean...
Someone got a good meal here.
I mean, to be fair, to be 100% completely fair, I have never been in this situation, so I don't know what I would do.
You've never been eaten by a shark?
If one of my employees was eaten by a shark and I had the power to like enlarge them,
a Wyoming shark.
Yeah, I don't know what I would do. Well, you know what? So Tremors was set close to here, wasn't it?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, wow.
I'm gonna.
All right, let's all take a break. Rewatch Tremors right now.
we did say we were gonna do that thing where we come on here and instead of playing D&D, we do like scientists react to bad science movies.
Oh God!
Yes,
Tremors
I'm so
is
down.
not a bad science movie.
If people in the audience like that idea,
it is one of the best movies of all time, and that is a hill I will die on. Except for the ones where like they all started farting.
I guess that means that eventually I should put a bulette in the game if you like things that make the ground shake. Anyway, the Radiant Marshall Brown got a 15 perception, is that
15 perception.
So that body looks pretty floppy.
He's sleeping.
Definitely.
All right.
He's just resting.
Russell Run agrees with you, Joe, that Tremors is a great movie. That was in all caps. Tremors is.
Thank you.
Kevin Bacon is a state.
Kevin Bacon is. I'm not going to disagree with the Kevin Bacon thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will second, third that. Yeah, Kevin Bacon is a national treasure.
It was set in Nevada, not in Wyoming.
Oh, close enough.
Well,
Great.
in that case,
It's because Wyoming doesn't exist.
there's one
right?
other dude who's in the water.
Yes, there is another dude who's in the water, and he is frantically splashing around. He was trying to grab the rope, but he didn't make it on that turn.
All right. Well, he's about to be a very large dude who's frantically splashing around.
Nice.
So I'm gonna run over to the other side, see Floppy McGee inside of the mouth of the dude,
McGee.
and then cast enlarge person on the one who's still there.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so this is like the Ant-Man finale.
It is a little
Yes.
bit, yeah. So
this
basically,
is Paul Rudd like punching a shark.
yeah. So basically, you guys see that like the Radiant, even as old as he is, he's very energized, and he runs over to the side, and he thrusts his hands out, and all of a sudden, that sailor that's in the water, not in the shark's mouth, just and he gets much
so
bigger.
he doubles his height and he multiplies his weight by 8.
Yeah.
And he has a +2 to strength. Yeah. So
The chat is really enjoying this idea of giving the shark more food.
that's not what I'm going for.
I'm trying to imagine somebody has thrown a rope for this guy, and this guy like grabs it and just like yanks that person over.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Well, it just pulls the whole boat sideways. We'll see what happens on his
Keep
turn.
making people bigger.
That's the only time I can do that. Don't worry.
All right, that's the Radiant's turn. I love it. That was really creative. I'm all about creative solutions to problems in D&D. It is the expert sailor's turn again. So they had thrown the ropes into the water, and they're all like, "Oh!" because they just saw the one guy get bitten, and the other guy get much bigger.
Ooh.
So they are going to sort of collectively try to. He hadn't grabbed the rope yet. So he's much bigger now, but he hadn't actually grabbed the rope yet, so they can't do anything yet. They are waiting. They are going to tie the rope onto the side of the boat for extra security. I love the slow-mo that's happening right now.
Yeah.
When you're big, everything happens.
They're working on tying the rope to the side of the boat.
Also, hypothetically,
Hypothetically.
if this dude is large now, could he just pick up a ballista like a crossbow and just load it with bolts?
He's not that big. I mean, well, these things are also bolted to the ship deck.
All right.
these are
Well, he can load it really easy now because he's huge or large.
Huge.
I'm pretty sure the troll character in the Discworld novels uses a ballista as like a crossbow, like carries it around.
You know what?
This isn't a Pratchett book, bro.
First he has to get back onto the ship.
Everything is a Pratchett book.
First he has to get back onto the ship. He's still in the water. All right. Yeah. So the experts are tying the rope onto the gunnels. So that means it is Percy Quilton's turn again.
So that guy is totally dead, right? Like, in my expert medical opinion.
In your expert medical opinion, give me
that
a perception
guy's
check.
dead.
In your medical opinion, he's floppy. That doesn't. It could just
Yeah, that was your medical opinion.
Blood loss causes floppiness.
Floppy.
I've been there.
Ooh. That maybe did not come out the way you wanted it to.
So for this the doctors,
No, it came out exactly what I wanted to do.
You heard it here first, folks. Blood loss causes floppiness.
Does a 25, is that good enough to know whether he's dead or not?
He is so toast. Oh my goodness.
Okay.
I would, you know what,
Very
guys?
good.
now.
I would just
Very
love it if the ship's doctor spent this turn just signing a death certificate.
Yeah.
Oh,
DED dead. He is dead.
He
Cause of death.
He
Floppy.
is so dead. So dead. Oh.
Just looks over the side of the boat. Floppy McGee is totally
Did
fucked
you
up.
tried to shoot your crossbow again? Yes. What did you?
It
What,
didn't work.
it didn't work. What did
Didn't
you roll?
work.
What did you roll?
Oh, I roll a 7.
Okay. I was gonna say when you make a
Minus
face
1.
like that, I'm like, dude, you don't get to not tell me if you roll a 1. Like. Okay, it was a 7. Okay, all right, did not work. Still firing bolts, but they are not making purchase on the shark.
I know
When
you
you're
brought
floppy,
us on
your
this
bolts-
podcast to change the history of the world, but nobody's going to hear this story because
You're all gonna die. Is that
we're all going to die. It'll and the history's going to be what happened to that boat?
I have many backup contingency plans. I have-
Another boat.
bigger shark goes up and eats that first shark.
The circle.
Oh no!
of
It was
life.
suggested because I asked my husband. I was like, "What should I do if they die and they don't do the thing that I want them to do at the end of this storyline?" And he was like, "Well, like a rescue party could come and like pick up the story." And I was like, "Perfect." So we might just have new characters.
Yeah.
All right. So that was Percy Quilton's turn. Now it is Peter Mather's turn.
All right, so Peter is. I'm just gonna say this like right now. He is just angrily firing arrows. Because, like,
Pew, 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 pew.
there's nothing else he can do. Like, he doesn't want to jump in the water to like, use his sword on the shark, and like his dagger is useless in this situation. So that is literally what he was doing right now. He is angrily firing arrows.
Do it.
Yep. Can't bring a sword to a shark. fight.
And I just rolled a 2.
Angrily firing arrows.
Yep.
Do you guys know in The Incredibles when Dash cries out, "We're dead"?
Yeah.
That's what I feel like right now. We're gonna die.
Well, we have 3 ballistae firing this turn.
You
so...
do have 3
Yeah.
ballistic firing
Yeah.
this turn.
Yeah, but they're all going to roll 2.
And we've already done 0 points of damage, so
Yeah,
Maybe this thing only has 1 HP. I don't know.
but you know what? No, we have 3 ballistae firing at the shark this turn, plus 1 huge friggin' guy.
Large guy.
Large guy. Yeah, he's only large. He's not huge.
Aw.
Large boy.
But what if I cast a spell on him a second time?
They
Is it
don't- they don't
exponential growth, or
stack,
is it just
I
unfortunately.
think there's a weird internet fetish about that. Anyway.
Oh, jeez. Anyway.
Oh no.
The chat,
it
the
only
chat
took till
wants,
episode 5 to get to rule 34.
apparently, the chat wants Peter Mathers to jump in the water. Sorry, chat. That doesn't sound like that's gonna happen.
Yeah, he's not a very likable character, is he?
The shark or Peter?
Peter.
Oh,
Yeah.
everybody
People like
likes
Peter
it.
suck.
Everybody
Just
likes
do
a
it.
bad boy.
He's doing his best.
Yeah. Lieutenant Carter, Dawson-Clark.
All right.
At all.
So because the flare did not work as intended, did not scare the shark or do any kind of damage. I'm just gonna bring in the big guns with my Kelgoros firebolt to just bring that on in there,
Hey.
because it can target one creature within 130 feet, and that's supposed to do 3d6 fire damage.
Nice.
If I do the Yeah.
Yeah, so the shark has to make a reflex save, but even if it makes the save, it still takes half of that damage. So you can roll your 3d6, and I will roll a dex or a reflex save for the sharky shark.
Okay. I got a 14.
That sounds good.
What does it have to be? What does it have to? Oh, haha.
The max is 18, I think.
It's a reflex DC of 15. The shark rolled this. Whoops.
Oh.
The shark rolled that, but
Where was that when I needed it?
yeah, but the shark has a plus 16 reflex save.
Holy shit!
Oh.
Coffee's losing it.
I'm calling shenanigans on this shark.
Nope.
Wow.
These are the stats right out of the monster manual. All right. So
Sharknanigans.
Sharknanigans. So it's still gonna take half damage.
You know what we need right now? We just need a giant goddamn Sharknado.
Oh, would that make it better or worse?
I'm saying, right?
Huh? Yeah. All right. So how much damage does the shark take?
I like it.
So it takes
14.
Okay, so half of 14 is, or it was 14.
That's
half.
a 7.
Okay, so it takes. I have to do some math now.
So the half of that would be 7.
Right. Yeah.
So I'll take 7 damage.
God, I'm so bad at mental math. I'm a scientist, but I'm also bad at mental math. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. You can be a scientist even if you're bad at mental math.
Oh yeah.
But you can't be an engineer and bad at math.
For everybody listening out there, I failed out of my first year, or I almost failed out of my first year of community college, which, as we all know, is just high school with ashtrays.
Whoa, I went to high school in North Carolina. High school had ashtrays. Just saying.
Yeah. Like, you can be bad at everything and still become a scientist. I am living proof of that.
I continue to be bad at everything, and
Calculus made me cry. Thinking about calculus still makes me cry.
Oh yeah, I skipped calculus entirely. They gave me a choice between stats and calculus. I took the C in statistics.
Stats all the way. Forever. Forever. Okay, so I did the math to take off 7 hit points from the shark. Lieutenant Carter Dawson-Clark, you are the first one to do damage to the shark.
Yeah!
Yeah!
Bring it in the plane.
and everyone cheers.
Yay.
Sometimes you just gotta bring in the dragon powers. By that I mean fire.
Yeah, that's a good
fine.
spell.
I just wasted 2 spells. Well, I wasted 1. We'll see what happens with the other.
Yeah, Kilgore's Firebolt. Firebolt is a good spell. Okay. Hey, it's the shark's turn now.
Oh no.
All right.
All right, my beefy boy, let's go.
All right, so the shark grappled that person on the last turn, the very dead one that's in the shark's teeth. So now the shark is going to swallow that person.
Gulp.
Gulp. So the shark swallows that person and then moves forward towards this juicy morsel that has appeared in front of it.
That's not a morsel, that's a buffet.
A buffet. The juicy buffet.
Are you guys talking about me?
Wow.
Joe, that's what I've always said
Joe,
about you.
do you feel like a snack? All right. So it is all of the sort of like junior sailors' turn. So first, let's deal with extra large, supersized extra junior sailor, and
My
see
big
if
special boy.
large boy. That is
You need some
such a
bim-bam
cocked
in here.
dice. It's not even funny. Okay, so this time he is able to grab onto the rope, although he's still kind of figuring out what's going on. You know, like when you're a teenager and you get all gangly and you're not sure where your arms and legs end? He just, like, went through, like
He's in the baby phase all over again.
extra puberty, and he doesn't know where his arms and legs end now. So
That's an interesting question. What happens to the motor plan,
yeah.
Chris, in the chat?
I mean,
What
wait,
happens to the
who's in the
internal
chat?
model?
I feel like it's one of those things like when you're intoxicated and you're like, my hands are so
Yeah.
big.
Except he's
That's
having that
everything
about
himself.
everything. My hands are huge, man. Yeah, let's talk about that, Mr. Prosthetic Limbs person. What happens to your motor plan when you change your body like that? Biomechanist here. Things be weird, yo. Yeah, thanks, Waryoshi. That would definitely be weird. They would be weird. But he did manage to, because he gets a boost to strength, which for being large, so that boosted his swim. So he was able to grab onto the rope. So now he's onto the rope. And then what happened to
the rope? That's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens next with
that.
Exactly. All right. And, and the ballistae have all been loaded, so they can fire this round. So let me find the stats on the ballistae. I will let you guys roll them. So, 3 of the 4 of you each roll 1 d20, and then I'll add the maths on for that.
Y'all do it.
Huh?
All right. I will do it.
All right.
I was saying, I'm good.
Okay.
Wait, should I roll?
Shit! That's fine.
I think so. Eric's rolling 1, Joe can roll 1, and Emily can roll 1. Yeah.
I am rolling 1. You're
right.
Eric's roll doesn't count. I'm gonna roll for Eric now.
Eric, roll that d20 one more time. This is to confirm whether or not it's a critical fail.
It's a 7.
And I got a 14 over here.
Okay. So that makes that attack a 16, which misses the shark. Or it does sort of the same thing that one of the crossbow bolts did earlier, where it hits the shark, but those dermal tentacles are just too tough. Joe, what did you roll?
6.
The ballista bolt goes wide. And the third ballista, Eric, which one do you want it to be? The one on the bow or one of the ones on the sides of the ship?
It'll be the one on the bow because I'm closest to it.
Okay. So the one on the bow, they go to fire, and something was wrong with the way they loaded the bolt in, and the mechanism in the ballista just... And that ballista is out of commission now.
Oh, no. At least it didn't fire backwards.
No,
nope.
It did not. It did not fire
over.
Backwards.
We're so bad at this.
We're gonna die.
Okay. So that happened. Marshall Brown, it is now your turn.
Yeah, Floppy McGee gets turned to paste.
Well, he got swallowed, so he's not there anymore.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Everybody in the chat is saying that the bolts go wide and hit Floppy McGee. He's a favorite NPC now, apparently.
Rip Floppy.
Yeah,
Rip Floppy.
Floppy.
Another shirt.
I'm gonna name my next dog Floppy.
All right, Radiant, what you got?
Well, I've been partially effective so far.
Partially effective.
We have a large boy now. But aside from that,
Do you have 2 large boys, including the shark?
we have
large
one,
boy versus large boy.
They have one large boy.
There's one on your team. Oh,
yeah.
the Black Death,
let's
2019 to
have
2019. That's good. What was that?
Does Large Boy have weapons?
If he did, they probably are not in his hands anymore since he fell overboard. If you got knocked overboard, you would probably do a whoa and a yard sail, as they say when you're skiing.
Yeah, pro tip, if you fall in the ocean, drop you the metal things that you're holding.
Yeah, so that you can swim.
Yeah, but you can't do that with armor.
No. Which is why we're very glad that the Radiant did not fall over the side of the ship into the ocean.
Bye.
What does the abyssal zone look like?
It's very dark down there.
Well, in that case, I'm just going to pull out my heavy crossbow and then sort of lean up against the side and fire it into, again, sort of aiming for the facial snootish area.
Highly technical. Facial snootish area.
Yeah.
Fire that crossbow bolt. That's an
6.
unhappy sound. 6.
Plus 2.
Plus 2.
Is 10. 8. I can math.
See, mental math.
20.
Not required. 20. Woo! Yeah, you've been doing a lot, but you've got your eye kind of on like a lot of things right now because you're kind of keeping track of the guy you cast the spell on, and you're also watching the shark, and so it sort of hits the water in between the two of them.
How do we miss?
You're so bad at killing this shark.
You missed. How could you miss? He was 3 feet in front of you.
Obviously,
feet on either side.
we have stormtrooper aim.
Oh,
Yeah,
Stormtrooper.
there we go.
That's a bummer.
Actually, there's some little piece of lore in Star Wars that like the reason stormtroopers could never fire is because where they were getting all their guns from, the people who manufactured them actually put in defects into the firing mirrors, so that they all went just.
That's awesome. I like that lore. I'm a fan of that lore. I like that.
I love how much of Star Wars lore has to be like retconned, where it's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
oh well.
Yeah.
It's only the movies and the TV
Okay,
show now.
so 12 parsecs is actually. It's like,
Nice.
Anyway.
Alrighty. So it is the expert sailor's turn again. So they are gonna haul on that rope and see if they can't help Large Boy out of the ocean.
Come on, my big beautiful boy.
Yeah, they start pulling. So he's on his turn. He'll sort of be able to help them, like as he's like climbing up the
Please
side.
don't pull them into the water.
No. Well, like I said, they tied the rope onto the gunnels first, so
Okay.
provided a little bit of security. Although it would be very funny if they got pulled into the
I disagree.
yeah, funny for the GM, not for the rest of us.
Ha ha ha! I inflict pain and
I
suffering
mean,
upon my
I'm
prey.
not like a first edition DM where I'm like actively your enemy. I do want you to. I also want you to succeed because this is becoming canon history for the normal game. So if things go too awfully awry, then I have to do a lot more work.
First edition is a lot of you earn 3,000 gold, but it's all in copper pieces. Good luck getting it back to town.
Yeah. I am not actively your enemy. Alright, so they're working on the thing. Percy Quilton, it's your turn.
I'm gonna shoot my crossbow at this big shark.
Mm-hmm. Big bad shark. What was that? What did you mouth?
Mhm.
Huh?
Yeah, I rolled a 3.
Cool.
Oof.
Cool.
-1.
Cool.
Oof.
Percy's not especially dexterous.
I'm gonna set this die
It needs a jail.
over there.
Put it in jail.
Bless his heart.
Oh boy.
Wait, how do you have a -1
That's
in your...
my turn.
He has a lower than 10 dexterity.
I do too, but you also have like a +3 on attack rolls in
Yeah.
your class, right?
He has a very low dexterity. What is your dexterity?
From a healer class?
Doesn't matter.
Okay. I'm just going off the sheet
Yep.
that the DM gave me.
You are correct.
So, and the sheet says heavy crossbow, 10 bolts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 7 bolts now. -1.
Yep.
I hope there's some bolts on this bucket.
But yeah, it's cool. Once people start getting hurt but not dead, then I can do stuff because I'm a healer,
Yeah.
I'm not a resurrector.
Hurt but not dead
Somebody
is good.
get hurt just a little bit.
Right.
So I
Yeah,
can do
just
something.
like get slightly bit by a megalodon.
Get
Like
someone
like
get poisoned or
like
something
Like a little
just go for like an arm missing or something like that.
Or
Just
like
a big
cast
bruise.
darkness.
Yeah, like something like that. Something that where I can
Just
really
some-
shine. I'd appreciate that.
If this shark turns undead, I can do something about that. But...
Don't necromancy
First, it would have to be
dark.
regular dead. So you can work on that. If the shark becomes undead. All right. Thank you for playing, Percy. Peter, it's your turn.
Peter angrily fires another arrow and gets 4.
4. Nope. Nobody's hitting the
Oh.
shark.
These are the worst rolls.
They really
of
are.
any
It's
D&D game I've ever
not very
played.
lucky
Dangerous
tonight.
giant
This is
shark.
insane.
This is insane. Yeah, not a good game.
No. I'm surprised our boat has made it this far.
All right, Carter.
I'm about to start throwing people into the water so it doesn't attack the ship. Like,
All right, Carter. it's
Very
your turn.
cleric behavior for you.
Yes, that's What's your alignment?
the sun god wills it.
Mm-hmm. All right, what you doing, Carter?
I think I'm going to. Speaking of bolts, I'll fire another fire bolt to get some more damage on that shark, and maybe depending on how much burn damage we get on the shark, we could use it for food later. Just kind of like cook that meat, and then I can use an ice spell later on. Cryopreserve it. It'll be great.
Nice.
I'm just thinking ahead for meal prep, but for right now, I'll use another fire bolt against that shark.
Cool. All right, so it will do another reflex save, which obviously it makes, but you still get to give it half of the damage you roll.
Let's see. I rolled a 7, and so...
All right, so that's half rounded down, so that's 3 points of damage.
Yeah. So not as powerful as last time.
That's okay. You have removed 10 hit points from the shark.
Woohoo!
I'm not going to tell you.
Slowly but surely.
Sure
I'm not going to tell you what percentage of its hit points that is, but yeah.
Oof.
Oof, indeed.
It's less than 0.05.
It's not yet significant.
I mean, it might be. Okay, that was Carter's turn. Now it's the shark's turn. Yeah, so it is gonna go for another bite, kind of like at large boy, but also probably the ship, because they're kind of like large boy is right up on the ship.
Yeah.
So let me find the shark stats again. Boop, boop, boop. And it hits the ship, and it does 4d6 plus 15.
I can't wait to fall in the water.
I know, right? Everybody make a... Oh, that's not so good. Everybody make a reflex save again.
Thank Christ. Thank Baylor.
Thank somebody.
Why couldn't I have gotten this last turn?
The luck of the dice.
I got a 20.
You got a natural 20 again?
I got a natural 20 again.
Bow, bow, bow.
18.
I got an 8.
Peter Mathers is just all over the deck like a ninja. Wah!
Well, I mean, so he's the navigator.
Yeah.
He's like the guy who steers the ship, so it kind of makes sense from a character perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish I would have gotten that when I was angrily firing arrows at this goddamn shark.
All right, so did anybody get less than a 10 on that reflex save?
I got an 8, unfortunately.
Oh no! All right, Carter, where were you? Were you at the edge of the ship?
I believe I was near where the masts were on the sail.
Oh, because you had been on the port side and then you moved so that you could aim at it. So yeah, you're probably about in the middle. All right, so that means you just hit the deck. Anybody else get less than a 10?
Hit the deck.
Hit the deck. No? Okay. Unfortunately, one of the expert sailors who was on the rope for Large Boy did fall into the ocean. So he is now
small boy.
next to so he is now in the water right next to the shark's mouth. And there is another very large hole in the side of your ship. So your ship is having some trouble now. All right. So that's the shark's turn. The rookie sailors are doing their thing. So the 2 ballistae that are still working are going to start reloading. Large Boy does manage to sort of struggle, but with the help of his friends, make it up back over the gunwales onto the deck. And that brings us to Radiant Marshall Brown's turn again.
That is the
That's how we
longest
all
sigh
feel,
I've ever
man.
heard.
Yeah.
It's been a journey.
I have a bunch of useless spells. Is obscuring mist? Is that concentration?
Let's see. Boy, am I glad that these spells are in alphabetical order.
Yeah, no, right.
No,
it
just happens.
It just happens.
Yeah.
And that's not great if we want to try and hit this thing. But it'd be good to get this dude out of the water. Well,
I mean, you can't make us worse at shooting the shark.
Yeah, I was hoping to have a situation where I could hide that dude from the shark. But it would also hide the shark from us.
Right, and it would hide the dude from you, and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, you could cast it, and it wouldn't make us hit it less.
Yeah.
Because we've already hit it, like, 0 times.
That's not true.
Yeah.
Carter's done some damage to it.
We have...
Okay.
I've hit it up a couple times.
Okay, alright.
Well, I think
Actually,
the only thing that you could do that would really make things bad for us is to, like, try to cast enlarge whatever on the dude in the water and hit the shark.
Oh, no.
I don't have any more enlarged, so you are out of luck, my friend. But this ship is moving forward, right?
I mean, yeah, it's moving forward every turn. Yeah.
All right, yeah. I'm gonna.
It's kind of moving less quickly forward now. I mean,
Sure.
So first you were only operating on the medium-sized sail, and secondly, it now has 2 holes in it.
Yeah.
But
And holes
it
are
is
very
still,
bad for boats, I think.
It's still trying to. Holes tend to be bad.
But it
for
also
boats.
makes the boat lighter.
Ah.
I think it really
Good
depends
to
on
have
how you
fewer people.
consider the density of the water, which is now inside the boat.
But if we open up some more holes in the back of the boat, the water will go through, and then.
Get your axes! Head down to the stern!
Wait,
All right.
you're an engineer, aren't you? That doesn't work.
He's not that kind of engineer.
and I took 2 semesters of fluids, so I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's like a jet
nobody
engine.
ever
We
knows
just
what they're talking about with fluid dynamics. That's
look.
just a
All we
myth.
have to do is compress the seawater when it gets into the bottom of the boat, and then it'll go out faster in the back end.
Yep.
That's what we
So
have
then
to
it,
do.
so then it would
Make it
actually
start
be
spinning.
propelling the boat, is
Yes.
what you're saying.
Yeah,
We just,
exactly.
like, have Large Boy continuously hug the water as it comes in.
Okay, I'm gonna cast
my
obscuring mist, like just in the area of the shark,
Okay.
and
In
that'll
the
buy
area
it.
of the shark. Cool.
Yeah, like a little bit on the side of the boat, but also mostly kind of extending out into the shark. And what I'm hoping that's going to do is it'll buy us a little bit of time to reload the ballistae,
Okay.
and we can prepare kind of whatever else from there.
Mhm.
So it's a 20-foot radius, so like a 40-foot circle.
Yep.
Just kind of off the side of the boat.
Cool. Okay. So you do that. Alrighty. The expert sailors are sort of continuing to... Well, a lot of them are sort of in the process of rushing below decks to see what they can do about this seawater intrusion problem. Percy.
So... Has the large boy, has he grabbed onto the rope yet?
He's on decks now.
Oh, he's on deck.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was
What about
pulled
the
up.
small boy?
Which one? The one that just fell into the water?
Yeah.
He just fell into the water.
He's in the water.
He's in the water.
Yeah.
And the mist.
Right next to the shark's snoot.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna
It's a dangerous place.
run to the gunnel and toss him a rope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make a, just roll me a d20. And we'll see how good your rope throwing is.
Bam! I got a 7.
You need some new d20s.
This is a new one? I have a whole bunch!
You need some
They're
new
all
D20s.
bad!
You just got to break them in.
Oh man. So I mean, like the rope goes over the side, but it doesn't get like right on him. So he'll have to swim to it if he gets that up. Well, I guess we'll have to see if he even sees it.
Crap.
Because he is in this obscuring mist, as is the rope.
I think it only provides like 20% concealment or something like that.
It says it obscures all sight, including dark vision beyond 5 feet. A creature 5 feet away has concealment. Creatures farther away have total concealment. Blah blah blah.
Alright, well, I might have just doomed this dude.
Doom doom doom.
Doom, doom, doom.
Okay. Is that it, Percy?
Yes.
Oh yes. All right. Peter Mathers
Angrily fires another arrow.
angrily fires another arrow. Do it.
Into the mist.
Roll a third d20. Or
18.
18, same thing. Your bolt technically hits the shark, but it just glances off of those dermal denticles, that nice armor on the side of the skin. No effect. Peter Coffee is losing it.
I mean, look, man, the only
We're
thing
so bad at this!
Unhappy.
The only thing I can do is angrily shoot arrows.
Wait, so you rolled fairly high, but it didn't do damage.
Yeah. I mean, so it technically hit the shark, but the shark's armor is too thick.
The AC is over 18.
The shark's a thick boy.
The AC is over 18. You are correct. Yes. It is over 18.
Gotcha.
All right. Lieutenant Dawson-Clark.
All right, so I guess the small boy that is in the water, we are unable to see that person, correct?
Sorry about that.
Mostly, yeah.
Okay. And I guess, would he be over 5 feet away from me currently?
From you, yes.
All right,
He
dang.
is down over the side in the
All
water.
right. Because I was going to use Dimension Hop to see if I can transport him from that area to maybe either away from the shark or just otherwise maybe onto the deck if that was possible, or just like farther away.
So the way that works is that it's a touch spell, so you have to touch them, and it would teleport them 5 feet away from you. But you have to be in physical contact with them to start.
Okay, never mind.
But good thought.
Yep.
Good thought.
Let's see. And I was thinking about using Blade of Blood to maybe enhance the weapons that we were using to fire against the shark. But I think I actually end up doing more damage in a smaller amount of time if I just shoot and fire at the shark, honestly. But I am not going to do that towards the front because I don't want to hurt the small boy near the shark's mouth with the flames.
The wooden boat.
That is true. Yep. Don't want to. Yep. Fire.
Or evaporate the
Well.
All right. So you're.
Ooh.
Oh yes, it would also evaporate the mist. You are correct.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess I can hit it more towards. I'm really trying to remember my anatomical terms. I really should know. I taught an anatomy class for a semester
The shark
a while
booty.
ago. Yeah.
The front is the stinky, the back is the booty.
Exactly. Yep.
Caudal
More
fin?
towards the booty.
The caudal fin. You are correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do I know so much about vertebrates?
I don't know, man.
Never even worked on them.
Are we gonna have to kick you out of NSOC?
Well, I mean,
Uh-huh.
see, that's a contention of
First
debate
he
right
left
now,
us for the
but-
weeds, now he's leaving us for the vertebrates.
I know.
Well, you know
Whatever,
what?
man.
You know what, Peter?
Uh-oh.
You know what, Peter? I would argue that weeds are still invertebrates.
Very technical. You
We're
are
good
technically
here.
correct. The best kind of correct. Oh my goodness.
Because
Oh, my goodness.
vertebra.
Oh, they don't. They don't even have spinal cords. Yeah.
Nope.
Ergo, plants are invertebrates.
Yep.
And
Oh man.
You can't argue because he used the word ergo. Like,
Yeah,
It's
I've got
done. We're
nothing.
done.
I've got no response to that.
Nope.
It's everybody knows that's the scientist's weak spot. You say your go, and
All right, so you're
That's
throwing
a-
another fireball. Is that correct?
Yep. I think I'll aim it more towards the gills instead.
Okay.
Yeah. Instead of
So the
towards
gills
the
will-
head, I head towards the gills.
Okay, the gills will still be within that the obscuring mist, so the fire would burn away the mist around that part of the head.
Oh. Great.
But this has a range of
Wonderful. And I get to.
Oh, it has a range of 130 feet. You can aim it wherever you darn well please. Yeah.
Oh yes. That's where I. That's why I picked this spell.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So let us see here.
That's why I gave that character that spell. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, when in doubt, just throw some fire at it. It's fine. Especially if it's at a creature, then you might cook some meat. It'll be great. It's
I
a
love
2-in-1.
the culinary theme we're on tonight.
Yeah.
Right. So it needs to make a reflex. Still passes because it's got that crazy save bonus. But you get to do half damage to
I
it.
do have a good recipe for shark.
I've heard the shark is pretty tasty.
We don't really advocate for eating sharks here on Nature Check, though. So.
Okay, I will not. I don't know one way or the other about it. So. But the damage would be 5. That because I rolled an 11, so it'll be 5.
Perfect. Chipping away at the shark.
Ooh.
You've done 15 points of damage.
Awesome.
Nice.
15 more points than any of the rest of us have done.
That's very true.
Yep.
All right, Lieutenant Carter Dawson-Clark, are you doing anything else?
I don't believe so.
You don't believe so? Okay. Well, in that case, oh goodness. All right, in that case, it is the shark's turn, and as the shark is moving to try to, because again, it's got those ampullae of Lorenzini, so the obscuring mist does not actually obscure the guy doing the thing in the water.
I realized that after I cast it, and also it's underwater, so
it's also that. But as it's starting to move, you hear that sound under the water, like you did when this shark first appeared and moved under your boat, and all of a sudden you see a much bigger dorsal fin come up out of the water.
Oh, no.
And just as Peter, very actual Peter, prophesied, I had already written this into the thing, and then you said it, and I was like, darn it.
There's always a bigger fish.
There is always a bigger fish. And a much larger megalodon, attracted by the absolute commotion that's going on over here, comes up and bites the megalodon that has been attacking you, and they are now involved in a rather strenuous combat, which means that for the moment, you and your ship are unmolested by sharks.
With my preferred state.
So do with that as you will.
I do not like to be molested by sharks.
Or anyone else.
That did not come out. All right, fine. I'll own it.
It's on my wall list.
Just saying the truth.
All right. So you are not currently being harried by a shark. Or either of the two sharks, but that is a temporary state. So what would you like to do? You still got one guy in the water. I think you said it was the second McGee brother.
Yeah, I'd like to get the cousin McGee out of the water.
Okay.
But I cannot use a rope. I cannot lie.
Cannot use a rope. So Percy did throw a rope in. So we will see if McGee brother number 2 is able to swim to the rope. He is able to swim to the rope and grab on. Would somebody like to do a check to pull him up? You've got the rope. So roll me a d20 and add your strength modifier.
I got a 19, and then my strength modifier is 0.
Okay.
So
I think Peter and Percy working together.
Peter and Peter.
What's wrong, Percy?
Yeah, because I got a 12.
You got it. Okay, that's all right. Yeah, so between...
I got a 12.
Yeah, okay. So between Peter and Percy, you're able to sort of, help one another pull the rope up and get this sodden sailor back onto the deck. Is Large Boy still large?
I think he's large for... Let me check. You keep going.
Okay. So you've got everyone except Floppy McGee is back on the boat. And the boat is still moving. Are you moving it towards Arda?
Yes, I am moving it towards the nearest landmass.
Okay, yeah, so you see, like I said, at the beginning of all of this, just before the shark nosed your boat for the first time, land ho was called, and you've still been moving in that general direction, so now you can see the outline of the land fairly plainly. So where would you like to navigate to? Are you still interested in going to, the river mouth, basically?
I am interested in... So, Peter wants to save the crew and the ship, so he is looking for the closest safe piece of land. And I don't know if Peter knows that sharks can go into freshwater. Hello, Lake Nicaragua. So he's just trying to get his ass to any beach he can at this point.
All right. So you you can make a perception check to look for an ideal landing spot.
5.
You don't see any beach per se. You are still a ways off, and looking at the land on the horizon, it's a little difficult to discern a beach, but you can see the river mouth, and you could make a reasonable assumption that there's probably land somewhere along the river mouth, like somewhere in that delta maybe, that you could have people get off the boat.
All right, let's steer towards the river mouth.
Large boy is large for 1 minute, so during that 1 minute, I would ask him to. I don't know if there's any way to unjam that front, like ballista.
He will.
Or if having a large person do that would be of any benefit.
He will do his best. It gives him a strength bonus, so yeah, he will do his best and see what happens.
And then while that's going on, I'm going to make sure the other 2 ballistae get loaded.
Sure.
And are the ballista bolts? Do they have are they wood? Are they metal?
Yeah. So it's like a wooden haft with a metal tip. Yeah.
I am going to stand by the ready and be ready to cast heat metal on the bolt end.
That's clever.
Just in case.
I like that.
And I don't know if I can give my inspiration to the dude shooting the ballista, but that is what I would do.
I mean, like I said, you could use it to roll 2 d20s at once. So since you guys were rolling for the ballista,
Sure.
Yeah.
So okay. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but I'm being ready to do that just in case.
Okay. So we're steering and we're fixing things and we're readying attacks. Is anybody dealing with the holes in the boat?
Oh shit!
Yep.
Just curious. I didn't have to ask you that, but I'm a nice DM.
Oh yes. Is there a way to use a craft skill to mend, or is it kind of beyond mending at this point?
Yeah, that's not really crafty. That would be more like the profession sailor skill that your sailors have.
Quick, somebody cast Cure Light Wounds on the boat.
Yeah, right. But it is something that's a little more than so I guess the problem is that right now it's very difficult to do anything because seawater is rushing in, right? And so the pressure of the water rushing in is making it so that you can't really hold anything against those holes. Yeah.
Captain, do we have any smart, strong people who could just shove a barrel in the hole until we get to land or something?
Can't just put a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah, how big is that? Can that big dude just...
Well, he's only going to be big for 30 more seconds, so...
It'll give us time to get a barrel.
All right. Yeah, but you are continuing to make it to the river mouth, and you can see the dorsal fins of the sharks and even the caudal fins sort of whipping an area of the ocean into a froth. They are really fighting, even though the one is noticeably smaller than the other. That still means it's a very large shark, and so they are sort of furiously battling it out. No, I was not going to TPK you with that CR10 creature. This party of 2nd, 3rd, and 4th level characters.
We could have took him.
Maybe.
Yeah. Just give us another 6 hours. We'd hit him eventually.
Lieutenant Carter Dawson-Clark, you did 15 points of damage to an animal that started out with 300 hit points.
Holy crap.
But
Holy carp.
You did a nice job because it's got a 20 AC, but the fact that you were doing damage to it using a spell that didn't require an attack roll was really smart. It had a plus 21 to its fortitude save.
Wow.
Yeah.
3.5 is whack.
That's a CR10 creature, so that was really cool.
I can't believe I wasn't able to command the CR10 creature.
Well, no, you couldn't command it because it doesn't speak common, not because it's a CR10.
The calm emotions.
Yeah. That one. Yeah.
I could have probably killed it with my sword.
Oh, Probably. I was waiting for you to say that you were going to hold the rope and do one of those where you, like, walk down the side of the ship and start, like, swinging at it with one hand. That would have been cool.
Yeah, but I would have died, so...
Probably.
Just, like, stab it right in the
you would
snoot.
have died really, really cool.
It would have been super awesome. Yeah.
Which, if you were a
Worth
bard,
it.
that's the way you would want to go out.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank God for bounded accuracy.
Yeah, I love it. Are you sure you want to walk through the door without searching
Get
for
out
traps?
of here.
Yes, I like to give people the option, especially when I'm. I mean, so one
The
of the
captain
things,
would have known.
The captain would have known. Well, but that's yeah. So I guess that's the other part of this is because it's a module and these people haven't been playing these characters forever. I give you a little bit of help, and also because I'm a DM that's making my players play a version of this game that most of them haven't played before. I try to be a little lenient.
Yeah, I've never played 3.5 before.
Yeah.
General.
Or in D&D. But that's alright. Now you have. Yeah, so you guys managed to make it into the mouth of the river, and I think that is where we are going to call it for right now. So there is more to the story of the crew of the Drake's Crest, and how their story fits into the larger campaign of Nature Check, but we will pick that up again at some point in the future and play some more of this module. So I hope y'all had a good time. Thank you so much to everyone in the chat who's been hanging out and participating. This was the first time we really had people in the chat, so I'm really glad you were here, and thank you for enjoying. Your jokes were absolutely hysterical, and I loved it. If you did enjoy this, like it seems like you might have, please tell your friends and even your enemies that they might enjoy it too, so that they can come and watch us. We will be live again here on Twitch and Periscope next Saturday, September 14th. We will be back with our regular show. So Eric and Emily will not be with us, but Joe and actual Peter will be, as well as our normal players, Ryan and Nancy. And we will
be with you in history.
Yes, you will be with us in history, and both Eric and Emily will eventually be making appearances in the core campaign as well, so stay tuned for that. Once again, you can watch, Peter, what were those YouTube channels that you contribute to?
The University of Maryland Equine channel and University of Maryland Carroll County Extension.
Mm-hmm. So you can check those out on YouTube. You can check out Eric on YouTube at
Sci Inspiration. Easiest place to find it is probably to just look at my name right up there. Search for Eric J. Early, otherwise a guitarist shows up. So.
You can find me on YouTube as the Roving Naturalist. You can find Joe and Nancy, who's not here tonight, on Facebook and Twitter and via email as Ask an Entomologist, right? Emily, do you have any SciComm things you want to plug right now?
You can find me on Twitter at @embodod. And I've also been working with some of the other biology grad students at UIC on this project, Science Cafe, that we've been contributing to. It was a regular newsletter that went out, but we do have some feature articles, some under the lens interviews, and some book reviews at thesciencecafe.com. We have not updated it in a while, but it's a lot of really great content that some people might like, so go check that out.
Awesome. Thanks. And like I said before, all of our Twitter handles are down in what we're calling the reference section in the panels below the Twitch account. You can please subscribe to us on YouTube so that you can, or you can have your friends watch recorded episodes of this show, including if you're a first-time Nature Check watcher, you might want to go back and peruse the YouTube channel videos for the 4 previous core game episodes so that you're all caught up for Game 5 next week. The YouTube channel is also where we will post videos of our after-game Nature Chats where we talk to special guests or players about all kinds of random things. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out with us tonight. I hope you had fun, and we will see you next time.
Some do with you.
Yay, bye. Thank you.